Okay. All right, folks. We're on Zoom today because someone yeah. But I will live stream this on. Actually, you know what? I won't live stream it because if we say some stuff, because we're going to be talking about some stuff
We're
that
gonna we're gonna say some real shit from time to time.
well, YouTube doesn't like certain things. So, by the way, you're like it sounds like you're in a cavern.
I am in an office.
Oh,
It is a room.
oh. So I guess it's a little bit difficult to because you don't have like your regular mic, so whatever. Okay.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, it's just very cavernous. All right.
Cavernous.
Yes.
Cavernous.
Yeah, that's a very nice
Did you hear
past.
hear that? Hear that?
That dude, you look like you're in one of these ads for like it's like the pastel wall.
Yeah.
Makes it look like you're in an ad for like some kind of medication, and then on the bottom it'll say like all the life-threatening side effects you'll have.
That's the oddest and most insulting thing that
Not,
anyone's ever said to me.
I mean, it's
But
not
in the
towards you.
strangest possible way, you know?
Yeah.
Very odd.
But it doesn't, it's not a reflection on you. It's just like it just looks like one of those bus stop ads for
You're basically an oddball, is what I'm trying to say.
I am. I am. I'm sorry to dude, I'm telling you, I know we spoke about this before, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. Does the Torah talk about people? Is there any literature, any Torah-based literature that speaks about a person who like lives on this earth, but he walks around and he constantly feels like he's just not from this earth. And on top of that, every time he tries to like kind of behave in a way that is either he feels, you know, like he can't do it, or like it's very, very painful, or something goes terribly wrong.
Hmm.
Like I feel like that. I felt like that since I'm a kid. And I, you know, and I know I'm not the only person. I know there's I guess a whole loosely confederated community of people like this in this world. And we're looking at all the people who are not like that and wondering, you know, how is it that they're not conscious to stuff, or how is it that they're able to function in this world? I mean, you could say, well, they're forcing themselves. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I think they like it. Like they like it.
Hmm.
And they I don't know. It's strange. Again, I think I mentioned this to you, like, the YouTube world that has a term for it, which I don't really like
Spell
because
out whore. Is that what you're trying to say?
the what?
Is the term sellout,
No,
prostitute,
that's not what that's
couch, open-legged whore? Is that what you're trying
no,
to say?
that's not what I'm referring to. That's not what I'm referring to.
Oh, I misunderstood.
No, I'm referring to, there again, there's like this term on YouTube, it's called chosen ones. I don't like that term
Crack
because
whore. Got it. Got it. Crack
no,
whore.
not quite.
Assistant crack whore.
No, I'm talking about chosen ones as in people like myself or people like you. We feel like we're not from this planet. I mean, I don't know if you feel that way. I can only speak for myself. And so,
Yes. Yes.
there's like these videos that people talk about this stuff and a lot of the stuff that they're describing I can kind of relate to. But you and I spoke about this and you told me that there's really no Torah,
Greg,
lit
you're clearly a star child. Clearly.
no, really, irrespective of all these corny, what is it, new age terms. Um,
E.T. phone home.
I feel like that a lot of the time. I feel like, dude, can I tell you something? I went to a Shabbat I'm again, I don't want to drag this into my dating life, whatever. But I went to a Shabbat meal and I'm looking around the room, and I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't see any, I didn't see any one attractive woman. I did. But I'm looking at all these ladies and I said to myself, I started doing my like alien calculation in my head, like an alien just landed from another planet, starts doing calculation in his head and already understand.
I'm gonna answer you in Russian.
Okay.
Если ты не поедешь в Израиль, and
Forget
I
about
understand,
Israel.
like,
Forget about Israel for a
listen,
second.
listen, listen.
I'm
Я
trying to
буду
make a
тебя
point.
бить руками и
Thank
ногами.
you. Thank you. You're absolutely right. I'm not even trying to talk about dating right now. I'm using this to illustrate a greater thing, but it's the most readily available example of this. I literally, like, a voice in my head said, let's just, for example, say there's like 20 women in the room, right? For example, maybe like two
Yeah.
or three are like giving me the eye, like positive, And
The wink,
what?
the wink.
It's not a wink, it's just whatever, some weird look. And I'm like, and like literally it's like a bot call, like a heavenly voice in my head says, there is not one woman in this room that is shaykh for you, that is relevant for you.
Yeah, that's not the bot code. Definitely not.
So what is
For
that?
sure not.
So what is that?
That's definitely El Diablo.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not joking. No,
Okay.
I'm not doing shit
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
I can 100% guarantee it's El Diablo.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that, but I am really sorry to say that. But
Dude,
that
but
I
so
yeah.
after this meal, or during the meal actually, a friend of mine came up to me and he said, "Hey man, the writer Tuvia Tenenbaum is here, and he's here in his apartment in Upper East Side, him and his wife, and they want to write a book about Judea and Samaria. You should come and talk to them and this and that and the other." Dude, I came to their house. I ended up having like a 5 hour conversation with, it was like him, his wife, a couple of their other friends that came by, and it was the most interesting discussion I had. And I thought to myself, as I'm having this discussion with him and his wife, and a few other people that were there, I thought to myself, I just met these people. How is it that I can have these discussions with people I just met who are, let's say, whatever, these people are in their, like, let's say mid-50s, or like, let's say average age 60, right?
Yeah.
But there is not one woman in that room, and I know that for a fact because I've tried it before, in the room that I was before, that I could have that discussion like from the first second. Like, these people, I barely know them. I had the discussion from the first second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you and I having a podcast, or like me, these people had what I like to call an off-air Shabbat podcast without being filmed.
Yeah.
I can't have, like, and listen, I don't need to speak about politics with a woman. I don't need that. I really don't. That's not what I'm saying. But like, if I'm saying, come up to a lady and I say some stuff that's like interesting to me,
Yeah.
95 or 97% of them are going to look at me like I have seven heads. And by the way, that particular room, there's probably one woman there who wasn't vaccinated at this Shabbat thing. So that right there was already like, I was like, what am I doing
Dude,
here?
you need to go to Batayan.
Oh, dude, I dated somebody
I'm
who,
joking. I'm not
dude,
joking.
can I tell you something? I dated somebody who went to Bat Ayin seminary. Do you remember the movie? Do you remember the movie Crouching Tiger, the opening of the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Yeah.
where they're floating on top of the rooftops?
Yeah.
That's the ladies who go to Bat Ayin.
Only such a lady could tolerate you.
Thank you. Lovely.
Only such a lady who, when I
Tolerate.
say tolerate,
Am I
I
so
don't mean like,
horrible?
I'm not, by the way, God forbid any lady listening to this, if there's any lady thinks that I'm pandering to you, I'm not. you don't. I'm not gonna pander to ladies. I know ladies are important and I know they have all these qualities, but my heart's not into it. You know what I mean? You guys are kind of annoying.
You went blank. Your connection is bad. Can't hear you. Hello? Dude, I missed the last 30 seconds.
Yes,
What you
can you
said.
hear me?
Now I can hear you.
What was the last thing you heard me say? Just
I heard
curious.
something like the lady is something kind of annoying and then blank. Can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. You want me to call you? Can't hear you at all. Like literally at all. I cannot hear you at all. Your sound is off. You're muted. Oh, you're getting a phone call.
Okay, I'm back. I'm
All right.
back.
Were you on the phone just now?
I got a phone call.
Oh,
Hold on. I was on the phone with my wife, which is very interesting. Let me see if I can turn my phone off. How do I do? Go on do not disturb.
I think so.
I'm looking for it. Airplane mode, would that work?
Might be. Try.
Oh gosh. Here we go.
Folks, we're having technical difficulties today. It is what's today's date, by the way? Like Hebrew date. Curious.
That did not work
Mm.
because you couldn't hear me. I was screaming at the top of my lungs and you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Let me see how else to 1 second. Do not disturb. Where the hell is it? That's very odd. Usually, okay. Let me do a search. Do not disturb. Okay, I put on do not disturb. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, no.
How about now?
Now, yes. There we go.
Okay. The last thing I heard myself say was, I'm not pandering to you ladies. You guys are kind of annoying, right? And
Yeah.
then at that very moment, my wife called.
Hashem's like, slap!
That was just, you can't make that up.
What do the
You can't
five
make it
fingers say to the face? Slap.
Slap. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't include my wife in that. Because she's not a lady, she's not a woman, she's a wife. She's my wife. It's different. It is. Right?
I guess.
I got this from Manus Friedman, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, maybe I should explain what I got before all the women start hating Manus Friedman because because they think, you know, I'm repeating something that he said. Let me tell you exactly what he said before you make any judgments on Rabbi Manus Friedman, who has enough to deal with right now. He's saying that when a husband and when a man and a woman cannot get along in a marriage, they can't. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But a husband and a wife can.
Mm-hmm.
A man can live on his own just fine.
Mm-hmm.
A woman could be on her own just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But a wife needs her husband, and her husband needs his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And a married lady is not a woman anymore, and a married man is not a man anymore. He's a husband, and she's a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you know, people think this is just wordplay. It's not. It's a different consciousness. You become a different person. You're not just a woman anymore. You're a wife.
Yeah.
And a husband's not just a man anymore. He's a husband.
Yeah.
And so you know, there's no such thing as girls' night out.
Yeah.
You know, like being a wife has become so unglamorous, or inglorious, right?
Unglamorous.
That unglamorous that you need to take a break from it. Let's go back. And he's like, this is what he said. He goes, it's not even woman's night out. It's not even ladies' night out. It's girls' night out. Like,
like
you go straight from being a wife back to being a little trollop.
Well,
you know?
can I show the folks at home? Remember the movie was the movie Knocked Up?
He didn't use the word trollop. I added that.
Can you remember the movie Knocked Up when they're trying to go to the club?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
When she's
but
pregnant, when she's
that's not.
pregnant.
Yeah, but that's not what he's.
I
That's
know,
not what he's.
I know, but I'm just, you know.
The guy
Yeah.
is just. He's focused on how old they are, not
Yeah.
the fact that they're wives or
I
anything of
know,
that.
no, but I'm focused on the fact that they're even going out. They're trying to go out.
Right. I don't know if. Hey, remember?
Yeah.
We may not be able to play this. They may not be able to hear the audio because Zoom.
No, Zoom, you could hear the audio. I could just turn on the audio. Here,
All right.
share sound. Here.
Okay.
See,
Oh,
okay. Let's see. Here. You could see this, right?
yeah.
What's up? End of the line, please.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Look, we at capacity, okay? We'll let some people in when it clears out a little. You get right in. If you go back to end of the line.
We come here all the time. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really look that crowded in there.
Hey, look, I don't make the rules.
Please.
No. Hey, what's up, shorty? What's up, pretty girls? See y'all when y'all get out.
What was that? What the was that?
It is what it is, sweetie. Now, can you step to the back, please?
You don't need to call me
Yeah,
sweetie.
maybe you should listen
No,
to
you
your
don't
friend.
need to call me sweetie.
Like, you want to come in, you're going to have to go to the end of the line, wait like everybody else.
I'm not gonna go to the end of the line. Who the are you? I have just as much of a right to be here as any of these little skanky girls. What, am I not skanky enough for you? You want me to hike up my skirt? What the is your problem? I'm not going anywhere. You're just some roided out freak with a clipboard in your stupid little robe. You know what? You may have power now, but you're not God. You're a doorman, okay? You're a doorman, 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 doorman. So, you with your little gloves.
I know.
I love that part.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I hate this job. I don't want to be the one to pass judgment, decide who gets in. Makes me sick in my stomach.
I get the runs from the stress.
It's not because you're not hot. I would love to tap that ass. I would tear that ass up. I can't let you in because you're old as for this club, not, you know, for the earth.
What?
You old, she pregnant. Can't have a bunch of old pregnant running around. That's crazy. I'm only allowed to let in 5% black people. He said that, 5%. That means if it's 25 people here, I get to let in 1 1/4 black people. So I gotta hope it's a black midget in the crowd.
Now I feel guilty. I'm sorry.
Why y'all wanna be in here anyway? Y'all need to be at a yoga class or something. What the is she doing at the club? That's not even good parenting right there.
That's
You
why I
don't
wanted to play
Ashley
this.
know better than that.
Oh, God. Ah.
The mushrooms kicked in yet?
And these two idiots. Yeah, so you know, stuff.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that was humorous, but
Yeah.
it's not really our point. I mean,
it kind of is.
underlining it is our point, but
Yeah.
he didn't express that. He's like, he didn't say, hey, you're a wife, possibly a mother,
Yeah.
and a wife. And so this place is not for wives and for mothers, right? Like, you're on a different level. You have graduated from this nonsense. It's like going to the club is like, for a wife, is like going back to like special ed in elementary school. You know what I mean? You should be ashamed of yourself. You know, for it's not. I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself if you were taught about what it really means to be a wife and a mother, right? That it should have been glorified. I saw Elon Musk post something about that. Interestingly, on the twits.
Mm-hmm.
where it was Mongolia.
Mm-hmm.
Mongolia is now elevating the status of wife, glorifying it, celebrating it, in order to promote birth people.
Yeah.
You know, the earth doesn't need to be cleansed in a giant flood. It needs a let's clear the table moment. Let's clear the table for a moment. Let us focus on some basic. For instance, there is a creator who created the world and who created creations and beings such as ourselves and other type of beings such as animals. And he had a pre-planned purpose for us. We don't go through life to find our own purpose. We already got here with a purpose. Okay, that's pretty fundamental, right, so far? Now, one of the general purposes that all of us have or are commanded to strive for by God, the Creator, with the purpose, is to have children. He wants life, he wants generations to continue, and wants children. And he wants a husband and a wife relationship to form the child and to raise the child together, because the child requires both the mother and the father, ideally. So if a person tries to have a wife and has a child and then one of the spouses dies or something horrible happens and they leave or whatever, that's out of the person's control. But a person has to try to have a spouse and have a child and then raise the child with that spouse of the opposite sex. Okay? So those fundamental things should be the primary glorification. If we're going to glorify any acts or actions that a human being engages in, those are the things that need to be glorified. The most fundamental, the most basic of human existence, of existence in this creation. Okay, so the world needs a reset in that sense. Mongolia seems to be going through that.
Yeah.
That's it. I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yes.
Felt like that needed to be said.
Yes.
If you're a wife and a mother, that should not be your side gig. That's your main gig. That's the greatest thing that you will accomplish, because that's the greatest thing that a human can accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay, your damn job in human resources or CFO is caca.
Yeah.
Compared to your life is at home. Your job, again, I'm ripping off Manus Friedman. Your life is at home. Your job is to support existence. There's a difference between existence and life. Your real life is at home. Your employees, everybody who works in your office, they want to go home because that's where their life is. And they would be there if they could, but they need money to exist so that they could try to have a life during some point of that existence. Okay? So the part that should be glorified is the life at home.
Yeah.
And the part that should be put in its correct place in your life is the job.
Yeah.
Okay? And who was it? You told me this recently. Your mom told you, was telling you about some girl who's a lawyer, and she's like, oh, she's very accomplished. She's like, Mom, no guy gives a shit about how accomplished a woman is professionally. We don't care.
You know what it is? No, they come back to me with when I tell them that they come back to me with, well, we're no. So actually, for specifically for my parents, it's not about the fact that she's accomplished. It might be they're leading towards it's an indication of some kind of I don't know, intelligence. And I said, no, it's not.
Kind of good reading stock.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's not. No, it
No.
is absolutely not. And if you're talking about today, like for example, if I get set up with, or somebody tries to set me up with a girl who's a doctor, that's already strike +1 against the person. We know why. Notwithstanding your brother and other doctors who were
Hey, I can't believe, hey, dude.
Yeah.
All right, can you go on the twits for a second? Do me a favor. You won't, I want to prove you wrong, at least in some cases.
Okay. Oh,
And
this girl that retweeted you?
this doctor,
Yeah.
Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Don't say her full name. Don't say her full name.
Yeah.
Just take a look. Take a look.
No, I took a look. I looked into it already before you a few months ago, actually. I looked into it, sir.
Been there, done that, huh?
Looked into it.
So she seems like
the person
she's an
follows. The person follows, I think, either me or us or something. Something like that.
Greg, let's face it. She follows my brother and us by extension.
Yes.
That's what she follows, okay?
Yes.
So yeah, but there seems very doubtful that she's vaxxed. She seems quite young. What does she look like to you?
She's a doctor and she used to play poker.
Yes, that's not the interesting part. That's unusual.
That's actually kind of cool. I think that's
a bit unusual. That's a bit unusual.
Yeah. And she has a podcast. Let's see.
Really?
Yes. Maybe we'd like invite her.
Man, you invite her.
You invite her. No, you invite her.
All right, fine. I'll invite her. Fine.
I don't know how. Wow, this is interesting. Somebody.
Don't say her name.
No, I won't say her name. I won't say her name. Let's see how old this person is.
Well, we know she's at least 26.
If she's an MD, she's gotta be like early 30s. I want to say. I don't know. All right.
What does it look like? What it look like?
I don't know, but let's see here. I don't know. I can't find information regarding that. I think early 30s. Yeah, probably didn't take the garbage. Most likely didn't take the garbage.
She didn't take the stuff. I hope not.
Yeah.
Folks, I keep hearing rumors that smoking tobacco, nicotine, something in the nicotine breaks up the stuff, if you know what I mean.
Let's see. The nicotine, yeah, nicotine's let's see. Nicotine exposure decreases likelihood of SARS-CoV-2 RNA expression. So we could say the same thing for mRNA.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe I'll keep hearing stuff. I don't know.
Effective nicotine on mRNA levels encoding opioid peptides. This is from like 1992. Wow.
I mean, I've heard Tucker Carlson, whatever, mentioned, but that doesn't mean really much.
Yeah. So basically, I should look for a girl who smokes or what?
No. This is just
I'm kidding.
something that popped into my head.
The controversial effect of smoking and nicotine on SARS-CoV-2 infection. Okay, so this is from June 2023. Low, moderate doses of nicotine, decreased mRNA. Oh, this is from 2013. Interesting. Very interesting. Some legitimacy to this situation.
Legitimacy.
Yes. 1 second. Do you know who I think is one of the most talented comedians who gets no credit?
Who's this?
Chris Kattan.
Oh, you're kind of you're diving into enemy territory, man.
Why so?
Because our main man Norm Macdonald was not a fan of the Catan Man.
Not?
Not big time. Not actually. Jim Brewer tells a story about what Norm Macdonald did to Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan, listen, just do a YouTube search. Jim Brewer, Chris Kattan, Norm Macdonald. Watch what happens.
Well, you know what happened to Chris Kattan, right? He fell on one of these rehearsals, and he screwed up his back or something like that, and that's it. That was it. He could never come back to SNL.
I didn't know that.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, we can watch that also here.
No, I don't want to hear that. That doesn't sound funny. Greg.
No, it is. It's pretty funny.
It's funny how this person falls and harms himself for life.
No, it's a whole thing. How like it here. Jim Brewer, Chris Kattan sketch theft, and Norm Macdonald bully Kattan. This thing.
Yeah. It may be.
Let's see. Share.
SNL dirt during the commercial. Yeah. I was just telling you. Hey. Norm was he was the best, man. Norm rocked. He just, I told the story last night, but when we had the press, this is when I knew Norm rocks. As soon as I got the show, you have this big press conference. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I'm in makeup, and they're putting clothes on me, and I'm getting pictures taken. They're finding out about my background. I'm meeting the head of NBC. This is exciting. Well, we're up there, and they give us a big lecture. Now, they're going to ask you questions. Just think about how you're going to answer them, and they're going to say some bad things to you, but it's the press. It's cool, and they're really prepping us, and they're really being cool about it. Well, they asked, like, Sherry. Sherry O'Terry says here you were in the Groundlings?
Yes, and I loved Radiohead. I loved Saturday Night Live my whole life. I just want to be Saturday Night Live. This is the most exciting time of my life.
So, Norm Macdonald, gotta ask you this. You're the veteran. Tim Meadows, David Spade, you guys are the veterans. Everyone knows this is such a frat house atmosphere, which is not. This is such a frat house. What kind of practical jokes are you gonna play on the guys? You're going to have to dump out, so be prepared. Wait, can you put it in a way? Just use the first letter of the bad word. Norm goes, I'll put a PG-13. He goes, I don't know, we're probably going to anally rape him. We're going to stick our big C's right in their pooper and just rape him around. Hey, welcome to the show.
Where does he get to the part about, you know what?
I don't know. This is not the story.
This is not the story. Here, you're talking about the feud that they had?
Yeah.
Okay. Here, this is from the college.
Yeah, I'm like, Kattan's all right. Just we had, when you're in that, it's like being. I won't say it's like being in war, but when you're in a situation. But I guess he says he's not gay, so whatever. Hey, I love that.
What about Norm Macdonald? You're at war with him as well. You two don't like each other.
Warring with Norm?
Here's what Norm said.
Oh, good.
I got it for you.
Another one.
Chris and Norm Macdonald apparently hate each other. This is according to my notes. When Norm hosted.
You skipped the Jim Brewer part to get to Kattan. This is a capital offense.
Okay.
How could you?
I mean, what do you mean I skipped the Jim Brewer part?
Did you skip? It sounded like you skipped through Jim Brewer
Oh, I'm sorry.
talking about what happened. It's an amazing story.
Okay, so let's, I mean,
It's like being, I won't say it's like being in war, but when you're in a situation, everyone's fighting for themselves.
There's another great quick Norm story. Great quick Norm story.
Kid, Artie.
Well, Jim will appreciate that. They do a big Rolling Stone article about the Kansas City.
Ah, that was a great one, man.
They do a big Rolling Stone article about the cast.
I got
about
a
the
good one.
what? So the cast of Saturday Night Live.
Right, yeah.
And it's everybody kissing each other's ass. So they ask Norm about Chris Kattan. And it's after pages of, I've never seen someone do better character work. Norm's quote is, he seems gay to me. I've never met a guy who said he wasn't gay. He seems so gay. But I guess he says he's not gay, so whatever.
Hey,
I love that.
What about Norm Macdonald? You're at war with him as well. You two don't like each other.
Warring with
that's all.
Norm?
That's
Here,
all
here's what Norm said.
Oh, good.
I got it for you.
Another
All right.
one.
Chris and Norm Macdonald apparently hate each other. This is according to my notes. When Norm hosted Saturday Night Live, Chris did not appear on the show. Wow.
Wait, when was?
In November of
Oh,
'97.
right.
Norm said of Chris, I don't know, but to me he seems gay. He claims he's not, but I've never seen like a guy who's not gay seem so gay. I don't find him funny. What can I say? Never made me laugh. What happened between? First of all, I don't believe you're gay. Are you? I know someone you
No,
dated.
I'm not gay.
Yeah, you did.
And he's certainly
But it's
had
kinda-
to have laughed at you once or twice.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
a funny guy.
Right.
Well, that was the.
I mean, your
Rolling
characters.
Stone
Some of your
article.
characters are effeminate, so maybe people will think you're
Right,
gay.
like Mango's, like
He's gay.
queer as day.
Right. So
And yeah,
So is Norm a homophobe? Is that the problem? He doesn't like gay
definitely
characters?
think he has a problem with yeah.
But give me the history of this. I love feuds.
Okay, let's see. What is, I don't know
You
exactly.
didn't appear on the show for a reason. You just
No. I don't. I just think I didn't get my sketches in. It wasn't like I'm not appearing in the show. You
And when
can't
you're
do
on
that.
Saturday Night Live, I've heard this before. When you say you didn't get your sketches in,
Yeah.
you have to write your own material. If you don't get it in, if
it doesn't pass muster.
then you're
Right.
not on the show.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, every week.
So do you have to hire separate guys to help you write material?
No,
No.
I mean they're there. There's there's people you write with normally. So
Right. Okay. Because
But,
I've heard some people don't help other people. You know.
no, some people don't.
Right.
But I'm not, because I'm not exactly the easiest guy to write for, though. I'm not like, I'm not an everyman. I can't
Right.
be the boyfriend all the time. I'm more of a freak.
So why Norm Macdonald? I mean, Norm is an easygoing guy. I know Norm. Why the dislike? Something happened.
Well, let's see. When I first got on the show, he was so nice. He and Spade,
Right.
were just like so nice, and then I don't know what happened. He just started. Like
Disliking
Garth
him.
Brooks was, we did like a pitch meeting, and he started saying things in the pitch meeting like, you don't want to do, like Garth Brooks was a guest.
Yeah.
Was a guest. I was like, I'm sure you don't want to do another fag sketch.
All right.
Like things like that, people would laugh.
Oh dear.
I was like, why is he saying
All
why
of
is
this.
it? And then it got kind of old, like, Jesus, Norm, you're like another.
And it makes
Yeah.
you inhibited in a writing meeting if someone's goofing on you every time you open up your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't care because I'm not gay. If I was like, some gay guy going, I don't want anyone to know that I'm this.
Right. And so the gay jokes kept going and going and going.
Yeah, the gay jokes kept going.
And then you finally said, hey, I've had it with you, Norm.
Well,
Did
this
you
is
ever confront him?
yeah, a little bit, yeah, but it's like a playful thing. He says it's like a Jack Benny, Fred Allen,
Really?
kind of a feud thing.
But you don't see it that
Well,
way.
No, I think he's I
right.
don't know. But he this is what happened. We were on a flight together. We didn't plan on being together on the same flight. We were flying from LA back to New York
Right.
to do Saturday Night Live, and it was a red eye, and he's behind me, and we're getting along, whatever. He's talking about
Yeah.
crapping on women, or I don't know what he was talking about, something like that.
Yeah, something.
And it was funny because he was so loud,
Right.
so everyone else could hear it. I'm like, I just crap on this girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, laughing.
Right.
Because he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, and, because it's a red eye, and one of my shoes is missing. And I was like, where's my shoe? And Norm's like, hey, you lost your shoe, huh? And then he leaves. And I'm like, so disoriented. And I'm the last guy in the flight looking for my shoe. And I just, walk off the plane with one shoe. And all the stewardess is like, you are funny.
Oh, no. So he stole your shoe.
He stole my shoe.
And he's playing goofs on you.
Right.
He's not respecting you.
Right.
Right.
And then I took his jacket on a really cold night.
Yes.
And his assistant his assistant called me at home going, I gotta get Norm's jacket. Please get me Norm's jacket. When she was like freaking out.
Right.
I was like, no, this is between Norm and I.
You can't play in this game.
Right.
Chauncey Hayden, you're on the air.
Hey, Howard, how's it going?
All right.
I've interviewed Chris before. He's a good guy. Chris,
Thank you.
is it not true that Jim Brewer, your former cast member, had a problem with you as well?
I think at one point he thought I stole an idea from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, man, there's so much infighting. You got to admit.
But they're really, that's it though.
Really?
That's
But you
not
know
much
what-
for
you know
like
what
6
happened, I think,
years.
With a lot of the cast members, and I think with Chris, do you remember that Rolling Stone cover came out, and they only put certain members of
Yeah.
SNL on the
Yeah,
cover?
that was a big deal.
Didn't that cause a lot of strife inside?
Yeah, well...
Why, they only chose certain amount of people for the cover. It was you.
Right, it was Will, me, Molly Shannon, and Sherry O'Terry.
And you did the cover, and
Yeah.
the rest of the cast felt like, hey, what are we, garbage?
Yeah, what is this?
But why be mad
it's
at you?
because of our characters.
Yeah.
This is not at all, the video that
Okay.
this is the, I think the response to the one that I was referring to.
Okay, so I
the one
don't-
where Jim Brewer is telling the story about when Pamela Anderson came on and was hosting Saturday Night Live, and Chris Kattan kept like trying to say, Pamela, I want to make out with you, whatever, that kind of thing.
Oh.
Trying to prove to everyone he's not gay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So basically,
So-
what's the crux of this whole thing? Like, so Norm Macdonald and Chris Gunn didn't like each other, or what?
No. Jim Brewer explains it really well. It's like he was being very, very annoying
Mhm.
to Norm Macdonald, and he kept saying to Norm, "You're not doing your job. You're not, you're not doing well." And Norm Macdonald kept effing with him.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to do an impression of the guy from the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the guy, the host of the Twilight Zone? I forgot his name. He was
I
supposed
forget.
to do that guy. Okay.
Okay.
Rod Serling, right? Rod Serling.
I don't know.
And Chris Kattan, and during the dude, just you have to find it. I'm not gonna do a good impression of Jim Brewer. Speaking of which, that photo I sent you, huh? Like Jim Brewer was at one of these. What was that like?
Which photo?
I sent you a photo of Jim Brewer performing with my brother's face. In the
Oh
background.
yeah. Screenshot. You mean.
Yeah, but it was from one of these like freedom events,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then and Jim Brewer's performing
Yeah.
on stage, and there's a giant picture of my brother right behind him.
Yeah.
And it's surreal. It's just absolutely surreal.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
I sent it to your twit. Can you show the folks at all? I think it would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I mean, it's just
No, it's
you know,
cool. It's really cool. I thought here. This thing. You sent it here. Here's the picture. Share. Yeah, so you can see. Yeah, this is one of these like Reawaken America tour. I guess they hired him to perform, and then you see like this link over there. Kind of crazy. I thought that was Lisa Lampanelli. On the right, it's not her.
What? Oh, no, that's Dr. Stella.
Oh, okay. Really? I thought
Yeah.
the Stella was black.
Yeah, that's a black lady. That's what it looks like to me.
What are you? The woman in the pink on the right?
Oh no, I thought you meant the
Dude,
photograph.
no, I'm talking about this lady on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I see her. Yeah, I don't know what that
I
is.
thought that was Lisa Lampanelli. For a
I
second.
thought you were talking about the photograph.
Oh
behind them.
no, yeah, that's Dr. Stella, of course. Yeah,
I didn't notice. Okay.
that's really funny, man.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Can you see me? Am I visible? Yeah. Okay.
I remember I told you I saw Jim Brewer at Hammerstein Ballroom. And he had these giant speakers. Like the rock. It was like a rock concert, not a comedy show. And he was doing like
yeah, that's
AC/DC.
what he
Yeah, it's like the AC/DC stuff, and like it's funny.
The Slayer.
Yeah, hilarious. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in Israel. Supposedly there's something going on. I mean, like, apart from what we saw Motzei Shabbat.
The last rumor I heard was what they hit I don't know, it's probably not true, but they hit Sinwar, where they hit the place where he was hiding or something like that.
Yeah, but that's like not confirmed. And also, I mean, this is actually probably true that he's walking around Gaza dressed as a woman.
The guy's name is Sinwar.
Yes.
SINWAR. Sinwar.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's crazy to me. Oh, so I was just saying that now Queers for Palestine, you know, he could be the head of that organization. What's crazy to me is that all these, I mean, we spoke about this, all these families who of the hostages, right? I mean, most of them are lefty, and they're like, you know, basically, here's the thing. All these people protest that you got to bring the hostages home. What are they really saying? They're not saying, you know, send Sayeret Matkal into Gaza to rescue them. They're saying exchange 1,000 orc for every hostage, 1,000 orcs that we have in our prisons.
They're saying condemn the whole country
Yeah.
to perpetual war to
Yeah.
get back
Their family members.
our loved ones.
Yeah. What they don't realize, first of all, okay, you send back the loved ones, and then it's entirely possible that the loved ones might, God forbid, get killed by the same, you know, by these orcs. On top of that, the guy who orchestrated this whole thing was a person who was exchanged for Gilad Shalit. Like it's like it's almost like they're asking, can you please rinse repeat this for the third time? Can we do this a third time? We did it the first time Gilad Shalit. We did it a second time here. Can we do it a third time? Let's just keep the carousel going, the conveyor belt going. It's just I don't.
Yeah, it's folks, you know, Israel, it's just like in America, if not even, it's probably much worse, that it's the people themselves. Like, you know, we just have to ask, why are we in this situation, right? What is it about us? Like, if everybody's supposed to ask themselves, and if I'm honest with myself, a lot of the troubles that I see, a lot of the things that I struggle with are my own fault. You know, it's poor decisions that I've made, and so I have to be, you know, I got to be honest about that. Some of it isn't, but a lot of it is. And whenever you see a serious problem going on in society, it's not, you know, has something to do with the people, folks. Okay, that's hard to admit. And Israel has a lot of problems. Mostly problems. Israel has mostly problems. It's kind of miraculous how there's any functioning in that country at all, because without getting into it, but you know, the people who this happened to have something to do with what happened to them.
Yeah.
They have something to do with it. It's difficult to say that. It might not be the people themselves, but the communal leaders where this event took place are losers, are jerks, are lefty assholes. They're suicidally empathetic. Was it Sad? He wrote a book, Suicidal Empathy, where he's writing a book called.
He's writing a book, yeah.
Right. This is a cult. This is a religion, and you know, it's sick. It really is an example of the inmates running the asylum, the patients running the asylum. You could tell by looking at them that there's something off.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the communal leaders, even some of them that were taken hostage.
For sure.
Right? People who, these elderly people who, they for 50 years were leftists who railed against the Israeli government, and all they cared about was the Palestinians, the poor Palestinians, right?
Yeah.
Who they sent money to the Palestinians. They embraced them. They would go over there to Gaza, and those Palestinians or those Arabs who call themselves Palestinians pretended to be friends with them.
Yeah.
And who are the first ones who got who those people that they were trying to help, those poor quote unquote Palestinians, the first ones they struck were those idiots who tried to help them the most. They're their biggest allies. So there's something. So basically, when there's something wrong in a society, it does have something to do with the people. Now, folks, I want to give you an example. It's something that is like blaring to me. It's not the only example. I don't want to pick on the police. I'm not, because I know that they get a lot of heat, and I know that they get problems and their job is hard, and totally understand. And what I'm arguing right now is to make their job much easier. One of the reasons, this is probably one of the main reasons that people hate cops, is because cops agree to enforce parasitic, non-constitutional laws.
Yeah.
If the police have something to do with their woes. It's not all somebody else's fault. Okay? You took a job where you agree to pull someone over if they have an expired registration on their license plate. You're going to pull over a complete stranger. You don't know what is going on with this person. You don't know if they're crazy. You don't know if they're off their meds. You don't know if their wife just cheated on them. You don't know if they got their butt kicked, or they got fired, or they don't have a job, or they're on their way to a job interview and they have negative $400 in the bank account. And you decided to pull this guy over, and not only that, you pulled him over and you waited 15 minutes to get out of the car. Whatever, you were running the license, the check and all this kind of stuff, right? So you were sitting there, you couldn't find anything to do. The donut shop was closed. And you decided, because you were bored, to pull over somebody who has an expired registration. Somebody who was on their way to work. You made them miss their job interview. This person is desperate. This person has a lot of pressure on them. This person doesn't know what to do. And you asshole, you pulled them over for an expired registration. That was like 2 days registration. Okay? Cops have something to do with why people don't like them. They're not innocent angels here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Everybody who's in a shitty situation has something to do with it. Has something to do with their own situation. Okay? Which is really something coming from me, because I usually blame God for everything. Ultimately, it is his fault. This is his idea in the first place, wasn't it? But, short of that. Okay. So everybody has something to do with their own bad situation. Israel is a sick society. It's sick because the measurement of its health, to measure its health, the metric of its health is how much they follow the Torah. Jews have to follow the Torah. Jews who don't follow the Torah are not healthy. There's even Rabbi Weisberg, in one of his recent videos, he quoted one of the prophets, I think it was Yirmiyahu, that would be the prophet Jeremiah, who was saying that when the Jews don't follow the Torah, their wisdom leaves them. They become stupid people.
Yeah.
Jews without Torah are stupid people. They have no wisdom. Okay, so it's Jews without Torah that are unfortunately running Israel. It's specifically the Jews without Torah. Folks, which is crazy because Israel is full of people who follow Torah. Full of them. The majority follow the Torah, really. Even those who are traditional, those who don't dress like penguins, they're still following the Torah. They still have a basic connection to the Torah. Okay? But the government are the only ones in Israel not following the Torah. Of course, nightmare after nightmare is going to happen. Of course.
Yeah.
All right, I apologize.
No, you're right. I mean, there's now this kind of, again, I personally think there's an internal battle in the government for the people who do follow Torah, who are trying to wrangle power, wrestle power away from the people who don't. But it seems like even the ones who do follow Torah, once they get into government, they get sucked into the nonsense over there that happens. With that said, by the way, dude, somebody's pushing forth a law, of course, a religious guy, to allow, basically to initiate like official tours, like tourism for Jews of the Temple Mount, like guided tours, which I think is very cool. Oh, listen,
it's no, I mean, it's obviously very good, but folks, you could be Jewish or non-Jewish.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. The whole Israel is Judea. It's the Jewish country.
Yeah.
By the way, when Jews speak their own language, we don't call each other Jews. We call each other Klal Yisrael, Israel. Okay. Even Ashkenazi Jews call themselves, when they speak, when they write in Hebrew, speak in Hebrew. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we say Jewish, this is English. We have to use English, right?
Yeah.
So Jews living in Israel need guided tours, and this is considered controversial, to their most sacred religious center. We have only one.
Yeah.
The Jews have one holy site.
Right.
One holy site. And the whole world loses their fucking mind when we even try to whisper a prayer on that site.
I mean, the Israeli government themselves loses their effing mind when that happens.
Right, because they're so scared about how you are going to, you, the audience, they're scared how you are going to react. They think that you're going to start a war and destroy all of us. If I were to whisper, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, on the Temple Mount quietly, because the Arabs they can't have it.
Yeah.
Now, just think about it. If that were you, right? If this was your holy site, if you were, let's say you're a Christian and you go to St. Peter's Cathedral, if you're a Catholic, you go to St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, and somebody said you're not allowed to pray there. No Catholics allowed.
Yeah.
That would be like, well, what are you talking about? This is the main Catholic site in the world. No Catholics are allowed to pray. Okay, so that's how we're being treated in our own country. And imagine Vatican or Italy, like, the country that they're Italian Catholics, and they're not letting Catholics pray there because it's going to bother somebody else. It's going to bother a Muslim.
Listen, man, listen, if you talk to a lot of people, let's say in the Orthodox Jewish community, they'll say, well, we're not allowed to go up there anyway, and this is God's way of telling us we're not allowed to go up there anyway. There's like...
No, it's not valid. I want to stop you because every community has ignoramuses. Everybody has ignorant people in their communities, okay?
Listen, man, this to me seems like the majority of Orthodox Jews that I've spoken to. who have said that.
I can't say the same thing for myself.
I know,
thought those-
I know, but I'm just saying, I've spoken to a lot of them. You know, they all say we're what's called tame mace met. We have the impurity of a dead person, and we're collectively, and we're not allowed to go there. And then you come back with, well, there's certain areas you are allowed to go, certain designated areas. Well, we don't want to take a chance. This becomes this whole like again, it becomes this whole neurotic thing.
Look, there's real Torah knowledge, and then there's Baba Mises. That's Yiddish folk. Baba Mises means like old wives' tales. So a lot of people who are not, they're not educated, right? They might be part of the Orthodox community, but they're not terribly educated in certain areas of knowledge, of Torah knowledge, okay? For instance, the Temple Mount laws, the Torah laws that we have to follow on the Temple Mount specifically, okay? So the reality is that there are places on the Temple Mount, well, where Jews are still allowed to go, even though we have a status of, there's no word to translate it. It's unfortunately translated as impurity.
Ritual impurity, yeah.
Ritual impurity. What that means is anybody who has ever had contact with a person who has passed away, if a Jewish person has ever had contact with another Jewish person who has passed away with their body, then that makes us ritually impure. Yeah. So all of us have either directly or indirectly had contact with Jews. I mean, have directly or indirectly have had contact with another Jewish person who had passed away, either, unfortunately, a loved one or something. Okay, so therefore, for that reason, we're not allowed to go on specific areas of the Temple Mount. Now, that was an issue in the ancient past as well when the temples stood. So the Torah tells us that the way to purify ourselves, to be given permit, in order for us to be allowed to go to the holy areas of the Temple Mount, there's a process, a ritual process that had to do with the red heifer.
Yeah.
Okay. So the ashes of the red heifer were mixed with a specific kind of water, and there's a process, and then we use that water, to purify ourselves, and then we were allowed to go. Okay, but we don't have that today. We don't have a red heifer yet. We have some pretty decent candidates, but for most of our history, we haven't had a red heifer, and so we couldn't do it. But there are certain areas on the Temple Mount where that's not required. It's well known to every religious scholar, to everybody who actually knows what they're talking about. We know that Maimonides went on the Temple Mount, as if that's not enough. The great Maimonides, he was the leader of the Jews, and the great eagle, some people call them. You're not going to get much better than Maimonides when it comes to understanding Torah law.
Yeah.
Okay. And he clearly, and it's clearly recorded that he went on the Temple Mount and he stayed carefully away from the areas where he wasn't allowed to go. Okay, he went there, and anybody else who is having an issue with it today is either ignorant or they're political.
Yeah.
Okay. There are certain people who, I don't want to get into the whole thing because it keeps taking us on tangents, but no informed Torah scholar who is informed specifically on the laws of the Temple Mount and the sanctuary is going to tell you can't go. Very few. I mean, it's the minority. Okay, but you have the kind of information, it's like the pop info, stuff that like for instance, Columbus proved that the world was round. We didn't know the world was round until Columbus. That's completely untrue. People knew the world was round since Aristotle's time, since Alexander the Great. and well before that as well. Okay, so but I grew up thinking, because people told me, yeah, they didn't know that the Earth was round until Columbus. That's not real information, because that's the kind of information that kind of like, hovers around or passes through communities, religious communities. It's not factual, and it's not corrected, unfortunately, probably for politics, for political reasons. So this is a very annoying subject, because there's so many nuances, and it's not very interesting. It's really tragic.
Yeah.
Anytime you bring up, well, the Orthodox community, I know it's going to be bad. I know that I'm going to be annoyed.
Well,
it's very short.
I'm gonna. It's not that I'm pushing back. I'm gonna read you something from. Can I read you something from the website called Halacha Yomit? I mean, it's an Israeli website.
Of course.
It's this is a Sephardic person who's a follower of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, or who passed away. So it says, is there room nowadays to allow one to enter the boundaries of the Temple Mount? Answer. The Temple Mount is a mountain which the first and second holy temples were situated until nearly, blah, blah, blah. Since then, the mountain laid in ruins until Muslims built mosques upon it, which remained there until today. Some areas of the mountain were areas where the Beit HaMikdash once stood. Other areas are on that of the Temple Mount. Since the sanctity of the Beit HaMikdash was so great, an individual who was impure as a result of coming into contact with a corpse was forbidden to enter the Beit HaMikdash. Nowadays, when we do not have the ashes, we mentioned the red heifer, we are all impure as a result of the corpses, for it is impossible never to have touched the person who has touched the corpse, or never to have touched the person who is in the same room as a corpse. It is therefore absolutely forbidden to any of us to enter the confines of the Beit HaMikdash. One who does so is liable for karet. Karet is like cutting yourself off from Jewish nation punishments, as well as having transgressed several Torah prohibitions. We must now discuss, this whole kind of thing, now discuss two important points. Firstly, does the sanctity of the Beit HaMikdash remain nowadays when the actual Beit HaMikdash has been destroyed? Furthermore, is one forbidden to enter any area of the Temple Mount, or are the areas of on the Temple Mount that one may enter? Okay, the Rambam, chapter 6 of Hilchot Beit Habehira, Halacha 14, states, the original sanctity with which King Solomon sanctified the holy temple and Jerusalem shall never be removed, although the temple was destroyed. Why does the original sanctity of the Beit HaMikdash in Jerusalem remain intact forever? This is because the sanctity of Jerusalem and the temple are a result of Hashem's divine presence resting upon it, and this divine presence never ceases. Indeed, Hashem states, and I shall leave your cities in destruction, and I shall cause your temples to lay desolate. And our sages expounded, although they remain desolate, their sanctity nevertheless remains. The Rambam thus teaches us that the sanctity of the Beit HaMikdash, which prohibits the impure from entering its perimeter, remains forever regardless of the fact that the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed. Thus, one who enters the area of the Beit HaMikdash nowadays is liable for karet and transgresses several prohibitions. Now it goes the opinion of the Ravad. Ravad is another big rabbi. There are those who understand the Ravad's opinion as being that there is no karet prohibition applicable to entering the location of the temple.
Rabbi Abraham ben David, who was a contemporary of Maimonides, who's the Rambam, and they lived 800 years ago.
Yeah. There is no karet prohibition applicable to entering the location of the temple nowadays, and that the Ravad disagrees with the Rambam regarding this point. Nevertheless, this opinion is completely rebuffed and halakhically invalid, as the Radbaz writes that the halacha certainly follows the opinion of the Rambam and the other great poskim who prohibit entering the temple perimeter even nowadays, and then doing so is a prohibition with bears karet. Okay. This is especially true since, according to many poskim, even the Ravad agrees that doing so is a Torah prohibition, as Hagaon Harav Abraham Yitzchak HaKohen Cook writes in his, this is Rav Kook, wrote in his response, Mishpat Kohen, the remaining area of the Temple Mount. Nevertheless, the above applies only to the perimeter of the Beit HaMikdash. On the other hand, the other areas of the Temple Mount are not off limits to those impure as a result of contact with the corpse, as the Rambam states. So this is what I was talking about, this perimeters, which I actually went there. Chapter
that's what I was talking about, obviously, too.
Yeah. So he goes, one who is impure As a result of a corpse, and even a corpse itself may enter the Temple Mount. As a result, all the greatest poskim of the previous generations deliberate whether or not there is room to allow entering certain areas of the Temple Mount. Indeed, Maran Rabbeinu Ovadia Yosef discusses this matter extensively in his responsa, Yabia Omer, volume 5, Yerodea, okay, chapter 26, and Hazon Ovadia Arba Taniyot, where he provides sources from the poskim that nowadays we cannot exactly be sure where the Temple Mount of Beit HaMikdash stood. Thus, most of the area of the Temple Mount is considered doubtfully the place of the Beit HaMikdash, and even if a given area regarding which there is no doubt, it still retains sanctity, and not just anyone may enter this area. Maran, this is Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, quotes Hagaon Harav David of Karlin, who writes in his response to Shelat David, Contrast Derishat, Sion Virushalayim, page 14, that it is impossible to locate the precise location of the altar, and one must be concerned regarding a sin which bears karet. One must therefore take great care not to enter the Temple Mount, even after having immersed properly in a mikvah, and even for the purpose of a mitzvah, for this will cause the masses. This will cause the masses to ascend the Temple Mount while impure, and enter portions of the perimeter of the Beit HaMikdash. The leaders of the generation have come together and decreed that no one may enter any area of the Temple Mount until the arrival of Mashiach, at which point the verse, "And I shall sprinkle you with the pure water, and you shall become pure," shall be fulfilled. Almost all of the
Is that true? I don't think so.
Almost all the mighty luminaries of Jerusalem agreed with and ratified this ruling. I don't know.
That doesn't sound like it.
Dude, I could tell you that every single solitary Haredi rabbi that I've met, both in America and in Israel, say just that. But here's the irony. There's a rabbi who takes people up there, a Haredi rabbi, or you could call him what's called Hardal. He's Haredi for all intents and purposes. Rabbi Tendler, Rabbi David Tendler, I believe. Here, hold on one second. Is it David Tendler? Yeah, Moshe David Tendler. I want to show you something. I want to show people something, a video. Okay. This is one of the most respected rabbis probably in the world. He is the son-in-law of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Okay?
Yeah.
So here's Rabbi Tendler taking people to the Temple Mount. This is a few years ago. This is 2009. Here we go. Temple Institute.
Maybe. How many times have you been up?
I try my best to go up every time I visit Eretz Yisrael. It's important. This time I thought I might not make it because it's busy. Tried to get to a mikveh in time and so on. Baruch Hashem, I learned only from Yishai that it was open in the afternoon. So I'm on my way back to America tonight. Now we're on Har HaBayis. A little bit annoyed at the instructions that we get, as if we were aliens and had to be told how to behave on Har HaBayis. So we know how to behave. We pray on Har HaBayis. That's the proper behavior. That's what Har HaBayis is made for. To hear the prayers of Am Yisrael. Shlomo HaMelech said it. That's it. This is Shmo al Arina vel Atfilo. So we can daven silently and offer prayers for the safety of Eretz Yisrael, especially for our soldiers who put their lives on the line and just now in Gaza did Baruch Hashem successful work, which we somehow feel that the politicians will make sure that's not a real success, but they certainly did what they were.
You know, who says this is 2009. He said that.
Yeah.
Supposed to do Baruch Hashem, and among them were the B'nai Torah who taught I think the Israeli community how much they are part of the community. They may dress a little differently by wearing a kippah sruga and spending years in the yeshiva, but when it comes down to it, they are Eretz Yisrael.
I am loving this moment. I'm here with some of the most incredible people in the most incredible place, and I only ask Hashem that He puts deep thoughts into our hearts, and that I never worry about the fact that we can't pray out loud because my heart's praying. I just hope that we can have the deepest thoughts at this moment.
Well, what it is you see here they used as paving stone the doorpost. Oh.
What's that?
See? It's the mezuzah.
Really?
It's what mezuzah was on the doorpost.
They took the stone and they repaved the
They used the paving stone. They took it. They knocked down Jewish homes.
Rebbe, what significance do you
You see Rabbi Tovia Singer is there.
give to that building? Does it mean anything to us? Is it at least a kippah on the holy spot? Is it something?
According to our tradition, and there's a machlokas, of course, all traditions have machlokas because history lies, but this seems to be true. This was the base Kodesh Kadosh, the Even HaShasiyah, which, whatever that means, philosophically, theologically, from whence the world began. Kadosh Baruch Hu began the world. He started to put into this world material matter. He began by putting down an Even HaShasiyah, the foundation stone. That's where the Harabayas got its reputation. That's where Adam Arishon brought Kavanos to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That is where Avraham brought Yitzchak and Ola Hashem. That's where Noach sacrificed when he came out of the table. Right? And that's where Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash. That's our tradition. There is no reason to doubt that tradition. Not that it's essential to us. No tradition is essential to us except to know that Kadosh Baruch Hu made the world and He gave us a Torah. But nevertheless, there is a concept which we don't fully understand. It's the concept of Kedusha. Right? And I think this is something that the Rabbanah Soroshis doesn't seem to understand. That Kedusha is not emphasized by not going into a place of Kedusha, but rather going into a place of Kedusha properly prepared. The Kohen Gadol goes into the Beis Kodesh Kadoshim. If he didn't, Beis Kodesh Kadoshim wouldn't mean anything. It's because he goes in, and he's the only one that prepares properly, fine. But Kedusha is defined by how we behave towards Kedusha. The idea of forbidding this area because it is an area of Kedusha, it goes counter to what we know about man's relationship to Kedusha. Man's relationship to Kedusha is because the place is Kadosh, we become more conscious of Kedusha. But to go ahead and announce there's a place out of bounds because it's Kadosh, it doesn't mean anything. No place is Kadosh. Kedusha comes from man's behavior. We are the only source of Kedusha there is. And the Gemara Shua says that every Rosh Chodesh we bring a korban chatos, a sin offering. So what kind of sin offering? What is it for? What sin? It says a sin shlo noda lo b'tchiloso v'lo b'sofo. I never found out that I did sin. No one ever told me I sinned. So I bring a sacrifice, a sin offering for that sin which I know nothing about.
Wow.
What does that mean? How do you bring a chatos for a sin? Shlo noda lo b'tchiloso v'lo b'sofo. It doesn't make sense. Now, Nezer says something which is relevant also to Aliyah Laharabayis. He says, where does Kedusha come from? Kadosh Baruch Hu gave up all Kedusha to Am Yisrael. Mekadesh Yisrael, Vazmanim, he even gave up the Kedusha of the time. We decide when Yom Tov is. Last year you were eating Sufganiyot, Hamantashen, when you should have been eating Shmura Matzah. Yeah. Why? We moved it away another Sheni. Yeah. So we have all the Kedusha. When a Goy wants to become a Jew, he comes to us and says, give me some Kedusha Yisrael, because you have it all. He doesn't go to Kodesh Baruch Hu. We can't talk to God. God says, I'm sorry, I'm all out. I have no Kedusha. I gave it all away to Am Yisrael. We go ahead, buy a pot, a cholent pot. I decide, it's a nice cholent pot, I'll give it to the Beis HaMikdash. Suddenly that cholent pot becomes Kadosh, because I was magdish it to the Beis HaMikdash. How? Because I have all the Kedusha in me. And I can transmit the Kedusha to something, even to inanimate object. It says, but all the Kedusha of Harabayas,
He's back. All right.
What, you decided to turn the video off when my mom called? What a coincidence.
No, I just turned it off now because I noticed that you left.
I didn't leave, I get kicked out.
Ah.
That's a
All
very stupid function on Zoom, by the way.
Yeah.
comes from a composite of Am Yisrael. All the Jews together, their Kedusha makes the Kedusha of Harabayas. Therefore, if you denigrate a Jew, if you treat a Jew improperly, you don't treat him with Kedusha, then you've stolen from the Kedusha of Harabayas. That's the chet for which you bring a chatos on Rosh Chodesh. Every Rosh Chodesh, I don't know, I didn't do a sin that I know about. But certainly there's some Jew I didn't treat with all the kavod that he deserves.
Greg.
And for that I have to bring the sin offering every Rosh Chodesh.
Yes. Is that why? Yeah.
You know, they're not speaking English, basically.
I know,
So I don't know
I know.
I don't know how useful this conversation is.
But
for
the point is,
folks at home-
the point. My point is that this rabbi is one of the biggest. He you know who he was? He was a medical he passed away in 2021. He was a medical ethics expert. Speaking of which,
yeah.
And I don't know what his opinion was on you know what.
It would be interesting to find out, but
yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see. He was a scientist. I'm getting an echo on my end.
Oh no, that's me.
Here we go. Okay, no, that was Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky in 2014 said that schmeck are a problem. Let's see. But what did this rabbi say? Let's see. You know, the thing is, he was part of YU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we know what that's all about.
Not necessarily. Why you you would equate to YU as like
No, YU was all about that stuff. But well, let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, this is an article. Moshe Tendler passes away. Let's see. Oh, this is another article. There's just articles about this stuff. Let's see. This is yeah, I don't know what his stance on that was. Let's see, page 4. Let's go to page 4. This is like a YU commentator magazine. Let's take a look. Take a look. I don't know. Take a look. Okay.
Hello. Take a look.
Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I see what's going on.
Rabbi Tendler. Marriage manual for the Jewish family. There is nothing about how he felt about this. Honestly, I don't even know if anybody would ask him. Maybe they would. I don't know. Can't find anything.
But let's stay on point. Let's stay on point.
Yeah.
So the point is that I don't know how we got onto this whole Temple Mount. Oh, because you said there's going to be tours,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's so crazy, you know, that Jews need tours
Yeah.
to visit their own holy site. So I guess that's how we got onto this.
But I think I think it's a sign of that's you know what it is? I think it's good in a way because if they have because like a lot of the Jews listen, even I would say a lot of the Jews who go up there now, let's say most of them are Orthodox Jews, you know, like for example, I went up there and I went up there with a person who knows the specifics of what we're looking at, and he was literally able to show me an area. We actually didn't go there, but he pointed to an area and he said to me that is where archaeologists said that supposedly that's where the altar was, right? So what I'm saying is a lot of Orthodox Jews who go up there today, a lot of time they don't know what they're looking at and where's what and what's this and what's that. So I feel like if the government is sponsoring tours with because it's very, very difficult to if you want to be a tour guide in Israel, especially a tour guide for these kind of places, the exams are very difficult. You have to know your stuff, and specifically with the Temple Mount, you have to know your stuff. And and I think it's good that they're showing people this because it's just another siman, another sign that we're going to need to know these things, that we're close, we're close to kind of like the real deal, and as opposed to just going up there willy-nilly and like just kind of like you see these videos of guys getting on the ground, yay, Shema Israel, okay, great, but like it's a balagan, it's a mess.
Look, nobody's arguing that there has to be a guardian up there to make sure that religious Jews, don't go on the parts that they're not allowed to go. Nobody's, obviously nobody's, but that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like, like a tour, like you need permission. There has to be, a guardian.
Yeah. There it does.
Like every holy place has a guardian to make sure that the sanctity is respected. Okay, so what's the big deal here?
Yeah.
Is anybody really arguing that? I don't think so.
No. No.
Great topic, Greg. Great topic.
Yes.
The audience is enthralled.
Yeah, stuff.
What is this guy who wanted to talk to me about UFOs? What is that like?
Oh, this is a person who he's in the UK, and it's somebody Lowell's been corresponding with, and he is a musician, and he started, kind of getting into, learning Torah. He says he's like a late blooming Baal Tshuva, and he basically said, and so here's the correspondence. I basically wrote that because he's been talking about to eliminate the opiate by Rabbi Antelman.
Okay.
And he said, he goes, he wrote a whole thing about it. And that and I responded that here, one second, there's a photo. I think it's of him, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's of him. And I wrote the following: Ezra, on our podcast, Truth Fanatics, Frank Zlinko and myself read to eliminate the opiate out loud on air in parts. This was a couple of years ago before we had our current viewership. We plan on doing it again, but if you'd like, come on Lowell's Root and Branch program or ours and talk about it and this and the other things you mentioned. He said that's an interesting idea.
Okay.
We can read it out loud, et cetera, et cetera. This is someone else that said that. But here he wrote to me a separate email, just to me, that which I forwarded to you. And here he wrote the following. I've watched your podcast and I'm learning, thanks to you both. Am I right in thinking that you are also on side with the UAP non-human phenomena that is almost impossible to deny right now? It's a tricky one to share with fellow Jews, but I've discussed my experiences with 3 of my Chabad rabbis. This is in London. They listen hard and engage, but mostly they don't want to discuss it further. I would be very interested to see where you are both with this. No doubt you know of Professor John Mack and all the work he did, and currently Luis Elizondo, James Fox, Christopher Mellon, etc., etc., etc. And I said, Ezra, for sure we speak about this, and we've mentioned all these people on the show from time to time. I think Frank is more, quote, enthusiastic about it than I am, but I'm definitely not a denialist and/or I don't mind discussing it and how it fits in with Torah ideas. And he wrote to me, that's good to know. Ezekiel is the most recent Torah reference I know of, alongside the Nephilim, the spies recounted to Moshe Rabbeinu after returning from entering the Holy Land. I believe there are many insights in Kabbalah relating to the phenomenon, quantum mechanics, etc. I'm not there yet, but it's in us regardless, just in case of getting there. Plenty to talk about. Just as a side note, albeit a significant one, my flatmate from the who's from the Krayot, like in Haifa in Israel, and I were just speaking. He follows Uri Milstein avidly. He thinks that something has shifted in the last few hours. Oh, this is in Israel. He said the way the news is being reported from unreliable sources has changed regarding the Northern Front. Who knows for certain? This is like something else. So basically, he's like on board with this whole like UAP thing, and he, we can always see he's a very this guy. By the way, I had to listen to some of his music. Wow, just like sonically is amazing.
That's awesome, but
yeah,
I'm not trying to be difficult. I really am not.
Okay.
I'm not going to say I'm on board with this whole UAP phenomenon. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm interested in the topic as it unfolds.
Yeah.
I'm interested because the topic is being discussed.
Yeah.
And where it's being discussed and by whom. I find that interesting. I'm not going to be on board until I see it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe a bunch of people as credible as they are, right?
The point is we're having a discussion about it.
Right. So I'm not enthusiastic because like, oh yeah, like I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
I'm enthusiastic at the possibility.
Yeah.
Right? What if what they're saying is true and these things really are happening, then if that's true, what are the implications? So I look at it like that seems exciting to me from a Torah perspective.
Yeah.
But it's still in the theoretical phase because you can have people say a lot of different stuff, and depending on the grade of person, depending on what their position was in the government, it really does matter who's saying what. Like if you have a nuclear missile launch officer who really is a nuclear missile launch officer, that's confirmed, and he's telling you that UFOs came and shut down his missile launch, his ICBMs, his intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
So that's definitely worth our attention. That's all I've been saying. I'm not going to say that people haven't been abducted. I don't know. People say that they've been abducted, and I know for sure that people definitely believe that. They're not lying.
Yeah.
They're telling you what they feel has happened to them, right? They're telling you what they've experienced.
Yeah.
What they actually experienced and what they think they've experienced, I don't know. Is it the same? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not part of that thing. I'm not like, I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to say the party line. And I've personally had the most difficulty in this whole UFO topic with the abduction, with the people who say that they've been abducted.
Yeah.
Because it's such a subjective experience. Any kind of subjective experience is difficult to talk about. Like I've had subjective experiences that I've spoken about to friends when I was a kid, and they didn't believe me. So I learned from those experiences that don't talk to people about experiences that they may not be able to relate to. You can talk about shared experiences, but things that are that different, right, from the experience that most people go through I don't think it should be spoken about because you're really putting your relationship on the line You're asking a person to believe something because of your relationship, because of whether or not they have trust in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people say that the sheer number of people who claim to have been abducted, right? Like John Mack's work, is, we're talking about in the millions, because that's significant. That's really, really significant. So because there are so many millions of people who have nothing to gain from telling the story, and that, they're not selling books, and they're professionals and politicians and stuff like that. They only have what to lose. That's clearly indicative of a worldwide phenomenon. But what's actually happening?
Yeah.
Could it be the government abducting people and messing with them? Could it be drugs? Could the government be, just testing stuff on the population and on certain people? Yes. Okay. I found that movie, with the school in Zimbabwe in 1994. Remember we watched Ariel? Remember the Ariel school in Rua, Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
That's an extremely compelling case, because you have all these school children who they all reported it. We're talking about in the hundreds, right? Like not in the hundreds, but over 100 school children who reported this experience and who claimed to see what they saw. Could it have been? So I believe the kids, but could it have been some government kind of, like experiment? Like you have people dressed up like aliens. You get short, skinny people dressed up like aliens, right? You put them in a drone. It's possible. Okay, so I find that particular topic the most difficult when it comes to this whole UFO thing, and I like that dude from X-Files, like I want to believe. Okay, but you can't. That kind of thing. So look, when they start actually releasing the evidence, when they start, really showing some stuff, like when like with Lua Elizondo and, the hearings coming up, like, there's going to be more leaked evidence. There's going to be better versions of the videos that they showed. That's in the ballpark. But what I really want to see, and I don't like this topic, it's boring, because, and honestly, I learned that from you. Like your skepticism, and you throwing cold water in my face.
No, I don't have skepticism. I just want to see.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. I was gonna say I think I benefited from that, because you said it yourself. Habeas corpus, right? And what is it gonna do for me to to talk about it and say, oh, look, another whistleblower who was extremely high level in the government and he's coming forward? Yeah, that's really awesome, and that needs to happen. But that's the least exciting part for me. The government angle here. That's not, the moment I saw that that's what they were going with this, like government hearings and getting the government to pass laws, I was like, oh, it's finished.
That's where things go to die.
That's where things go to die. And then it broke my heart. Honestly, like it broke my heart, because what did I want to see, Greg? I want to see the goddamn Marshmallow Man walking down Park Avenue. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Okay. And so anything short of that, I'm just looking at this whole story just like to kind of like pass the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, at least if it's still in the news and they're still talking about it, maybe that's a sign that something is still still cooking. That that this might be it.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's devastating when you're waiting, and you know what I'm waiting for. What we're all waiting for. Okay. Yeah, so it's a rough topic. It's a rough topic. For the folks at home who don't know what I'm talking about, this has to do with the arrival of the Messiah, the real Messiah. Okay, the Messiah that the Jews have been waiting for. Okay,
Yeah.
Christians seem to have they with what I just said. Every Christian in their head said, "Oh, the Messiah came already. You rejected him." Folks, and this is to my Christians, we had the Torah, the Jewish people. We've had the Torah for 1,500 years.
Yeah.
Before Jesus came. Before this person who supposedly that you call Jesus, who lived in that time period, came. Okay. Did it ever occur to you that we have a way of interpreting the verses?
Yeah.
That we had already had our own understanding of it. That we had a tradition on what the Messiah is and who he is and what he's supposed to accomplish. Did that ever occur to you? Did it ever occur to you to even look at how the Jews understood the verses of the Hebrew Scripture? Okay, my point is, we have a tradition about who the Messiah is that's older than your religion by 1,500 years. Okay, and we have a checklist. That's my terminology. We have a list of things he's supposed to accomplish so that we can say, this is the presumed Messiah. And then we have a further list of things that he's supposed to accomplish that we can say, this is definitely the Messiah. Okay, so there hasn't been anybody who has come into the world who has accomplished even the presumed Messiah to-do list. Bring world peace, successfully inspire the world to follow God's basic laws of morality. There has not been anybody in the world who has done that. Okay, who has actually successfully accomplished world peace, gathered all of the Jews to Israel, okay, and then to begin the construction of the third and final temple. Okay, these are the things, and then some, that the Messiah is supposed to accomplish. Okay, the world peace part, that's a very big one. Nobody has succeeded in that yet. Okay, so that's why if we don't see somebody who succeeds in that way, we're not going to call them the Messiah until we see that. Okay. Also, they have to be a paternal descendant of King David, specifically through his son Solomon. Okay. He has to be a completely 100% observant Jew, following all the commandments, and has to be the greatest scholar of his generation, and certainly the second greatest prophet who has ever existed, second only to Moses himself. Okay, so there has been nobody who has fit that description. So that's what I'm waiting for. Now, I'm looking for that, okay? And there's other information that we have in the scripture and in our tradition about the kind of things that are supposed to be happening, things that look supernatural events, how it's almost like miraculous, super physical things that go beyond the physics that we understand, go beyond what we consider natural, right? What we're used to in nature, right? And the closest thing that anybody is talking about, which fits that description, are these things that are flying around that are best, servicemen and women in the sky, right? Air Force and Navy and naval aviators, right? Air Force pilots and naval aviators, right? Who consistently report on seeing, right? So that's exciting because they're the best qualified, the most sober-minded, the most professional, and the best qualified people to witness these things. Because if your drunk uncle sees it, okay, maybe he saw it. But if the captain of the Black Aces naval fighter squadron, Top Gun, Captain David Fravor says he saw what he saw, that's very interesting, right? And he saw things that were defying the laws of physics, things that were performing in ways that we can't. It goes beyond miraculous. It's what we would call miraculous, things that go beyond natural law, performing ways. Okay, that's the closest thing that is going on in the world in terms of the truly miraculous. Okay, that fits in line with what we're supposed to be seeing with the arrival of the Messiah. So obviously, there's, when you have so much hope in something, there's also the potential for massive disappointment and heartbreak. Okay, because one of the reasons why I want this so bad, and not just me, but many people, is that, not only did God promise to bring the Messiah and to redeem the world and to bring world peace and to improve the world, to get rid of disease, but he also promised to bring back our loved ones, the ones who have passed already, the resurrection of the dead. It's one of the fundamental principles of the Jewish, it's the Jewish creed. It's the 13th and final principle of the Jewish creed itself, of the Jewish religion, the traditional Jewish religion, which is that we believe in complete faith in the 100% physical resurrection of the dead. No allegories, no symbols, no. It's the people that we've lost. God promised to return them to life, and he will end death for all eternity. So that's really what people are waiting for when they say the coming of the Messiah. That's what they want to see. Okay, yeah. So it's a touchy subject, and I don't, short of that, that's my only interest in it. I'm not really, I don't find it, especially entertaining, because when we tried to go see something, we couldn't.
But I'll tell you something. Remember, I mean, the energy at that place was pretty powerful when we got there.
Yeah, I know.
You're like, whatever.
I know the energy. I know. I like energy too. But
can I show the folks at home what the hell we're talking about? This is a gentleman, Chris Bledsoe. We haven't looked at his stuff in a while, actually. He has things that he sees next to his house, and actually he saw stuff in Annapolis, Maryland also. But he got a brand new camera, so here's what he sees. This is not the moon, folks. This is like not the moon. Actually, let's see if the audio. He usually says stuff like, this is back in July 10th. It's like these orbs. It's not the moon. You see, it's moving. That is not the moon. Yeah, I'll show you another example. Show a better one where he's like speaking.
There's a beautiful orb right there tonight. That ain't even zoomed. It's in the cloud or going through a cloud. It's to the east of me. Man, is it bright. I gotta get my camera down. I had it at a weird angle. There's the power line. Top of the pond. There's the orb. Thank you for that. If I had my new camera.
We went to the same place. We didn't see anything.
Yeah.
And he told us that, like, something like you have to be, if you're open to it, it doesn't matter where you are. That kind. The whole communication with him was like, with all due respect to Chris, was very annoying.
The thing is, he's right in everything.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's also, obviously very disappointing.
Yeah.
Now see it stop. There's the one on the right.
This is north, on the beach. Okay, I think that's just what's it called?
Is it going to get any darker than this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's moving. Okay.
Alright, pretty crazy right there. Wow, that was a huge white one there.
Forward.
There's one way offshore just blinked. I mean,
Step forward.
crazy.
Yeah, I see it. You see it with
I'm telling you, these are orbs coming out of the water.
Huh. This guy wrote, "You think God can get this guy a 4K camera?"
Right here, I'm filming.
Actually, let me see it.
I know. Why does he have to do all his film work through a potato?
Yep, she's going south.
April 2nd.
This orb came due from the southwest, heading east, northeast. Now it has over top of my home changed its course to almost due south. And you see it's cloudy. You don't see no stars about. It is cloudy, really hazy.
He's been seeing these things above his house for like at least 20 years, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Should we say where in North Carolina? He's in North Carolina, but like where?
We could say it. I mean, he's told the story. Like that's how we found out, right?
Yeah. It's near like.
It was near.
It's in Fayetteville.
Near Fayetteville.
Sorry.
You know, around the area of the. What's the name of that? Cape Fear River.
Cape Fear River, yeah.
That's where we went, and we should have. I mean, we didn't do that trip right. We should have stayed there. We should have like stayed there maybe like 1 or 2 nights, just somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's not a very safe town. I mean,
it was like it was kind of like Deliverance. We felt.
That's not. I didn't feel Deliverance, but it was like extremely ghetto.
Yeah.
Or, you know, huge properties, and you get shot if you pull over and stay on the property.
There's literally nowhere to park in the middle. Like if you want to park in the middle of nowhere, there's literally no way to do that anymore.
Right.
Everything is big bro. Like all of rural America is big brothered out. It seems.
it's a little crazy, you know, like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Interesting though, you know, that Lou Elizondo, right? He was recently interviewed, which I think we should play that interview because that would be the most up to date, you know, because we used to do like UFO segments all the time.
Yeah.
And for the past, like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 episodes, we keep forgetting. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to talk about UFOs. And we never do.
This is from 2 days ago with Cold Heart?
With Ross Coldheart. It's 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
It might be interesting to watch because like this is the update, apparently. Yeah. And he mentioned something interesting that I never heard him say before, because I listened to all of his he was also on Rogan, by the way, like a day or two ago.
Yeah. We could watch like they made clips, by the way. Here's a retrieval program, alien bodies. What do they want? This is all News Nation. This is all like but clips, small short clips. Or you want to see the whole thing? Oops. Frank went away once again. He ran away. Fine. Folks, when Frank comes back, we'll get back to the oops. Yeah, that trip was very cool that we took. It was a pretty good trip. We actually went to the place where they founded the Fed. It's a place called what's the name of the place? It was a movie with Matt Damon. There was a movie called they filmed The Good Shepherd there. And the name of the place is oh my God, it was in Georgia. Yeah. Where did they film? Where did they film The Good Shepherd? It was oh my God. No, what's the name of that place where they founded the Fed? Georgia. Not Thomasville, Georgia. I can't remember it now. Let's retrace the steps of this trip that we did. Frank and I doing a very cool trip to this area. We were looking for those orbs a couple of years ago, and we passed Savannah, Georgia, which was very cool. We went to the Prohibition Museum. I got to learn a lot about why the liquor industry is so screwed up and why I'm dealing what I'm dealing with. However, we stopped at a place. We got into Georgia. It was right when we got into Georgia. Jekyll Island. Oh my goodness gracious. Jekyll Island. So Jekyll Island is basically where they founded the Federal Reserve, the meeting at Jekyll Island. And see, it says, yeah, a secret gathering at a secluded island off the coast of Georgia in 1910 laid the foundations for the Federal Reserve. So we actually went to that. It's the old clubhouse. We just pull up in front of it. You can't get in there. It says Nelson Aldrich, A. Pyatt Andrew, Henry Davison, Arthur Shelton, Frank Vanderlip, and Paul Warburg. Any of these people are, I don't think even one person of these people is Jews. Not even, I don't even think of one who founded the Fed. Yeah. The men who met on Jekyll Island believe the banking system suffered serious problems. Jekyll Island participants' views on this issue are well known. Since before in their conclave, several spoke publicly and others published extensively on the topic. Unbelievable. The birth of the Fed. I just wonder why Jekyll Island. You know? Yeah, we pulled up to this place. That's where they founded the Fed. A creature from Jekyll Island. That's funny. There was a book about this, where the Fed began. Question is why? Let's read about Jekyll Island. It's actually a beautiful place. We went to the beach over there. Let's see. Yeah, they had like the antebellum plantation era. Very beautiful place. Yeah, there was a gun mount during the Spanish-American War. Let's see, what is there that like history? Why did they set it up there? Is the question. Jekyll Island Club. Here we go. See, not one Jew. There's no Chabad on Jekyll Island, by the way. Just to let you guys know. Here we go. Several nationally important events took place in Jekyll Island, during the club era, including the first transcontinental telephone call made by Theodore N. Vail, president of AT&T, to Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas A. Watson, and President Woodrow Wilson, and the development of the Aldrich-Vreeland Act for the National Monetary Commission. This is the thing that set in motion the whole Fed thing. Yeah. It says, following the panic of 1907, the banking reform became a major issue in the United States. Senator Nelson Aldrich, chairman of the National Monetary Commission, went to Europe for almost 2 years to study that continent's banking systems. Uh-huh. Upon his return, he brought together many of the country's leading financiers to Jekyll Island to discuss monetary policy in the banking system, drafting legislation which was introduced in Congress as the Aldrich Plan. Some ideas from the plan were later incorporated into the Federal Reserve Act. Unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not seeing any Jewish names here. Let's see, was this okay? One guy, Paul Warburg, German Jewish banking dynasty with origins in Venice. Okay. Out of all these guys, Frank Vanderlip, as far as I can tell, Dutch. Henry Davison, not Jewish. Benjamin Strong, not Jewish. One Jewish guy was involved. Yeah, I'm looking at the names of this club. Albright, Aldrich, Aspinwall, George Baker, known as Dean of American Banking. Bartlett, Bartow, Beard, Bignon, Bliss, Borden. Folks, I don't these are the members of this club, of this Jekyll Island Club. Okay? JP Morgan. I don't. Okay, Joseph Pulitzer. Fine. One guy. William Rockefeller. Cornelius Vanderbilt, the son of William Henry Vanderbilt. No. Yeah, folks, so we stopped there. And then we made our way to Fayetteville. Frank is gone, completely gone. Let's see, let's give him a call, see what happens. Let's give Frank a call because he disappeared. Oops. All right, folks, looks like Frank has gone bye-bye. Oh, admit. There he is. Well, that's weird.
Yeah,
Hello?
man.
Yes. Oh, were you here in the waiting room? I didn't see any kind of.
No, my phone literally just turned on.
Oh, okay.
It's at 2%.
Oh, okay. I was about to say goodbye to our friends, but okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna let it charge for about like 10 minutes while talking to you, and then we're gonna take a walk to my car so I can start heading home, and hopefully the phone won't die. This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Yeah. I like the wall. I like your walls though.
It is a nice color. We chose it. Yeah, I apologize. So let me close all the other apps.
Oops. He's gone again. He's gone again. Oops. We were just talking about the whole thing with UAPs. Those of you just joining us. Chris Woods thinks he's so funny. Isn't it owned by Skull and Bones, Jekyll Island? I don't know. Remember the Fresh Prince record? He's the DJ, I'm the rapper. Yes. Do remember that. Oh, let's admit him again. He's back. And there he is. There he's not. There he is.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That was once again, that was my fault. Oh, okay. Yes.
So yeah, we were just talking about this UAP thing. So you said you want to play this whole 40-minute thing?
I was hoping that you actually started it, as a way to excuse
I was telling I was telling the folks that we visited Jekyll Island, where they started the Fed, which I thought was cool. All right,
that was an interesting trip. Everything, except what we're trying to accomplish.
Or the whole thing of how like we always ended up like in the places where they had to do with NASA. Like we literally had to like get off Route 95 and we get onto like the area, like was it Cape Canaveral area, and then we stop for me to use the bathroom, and it's like where NASA was gonna have their place.
There was
in Georgia.
We got off the exit. This is on our way to North Carolina, and we were traveling through Georgia, and we got off on the exit because whatever, we need to make a stop, and it just so happened to be that town that we got off in, that's NASA owned. Like NASA owns a huge chunk of it, and they were gonna make another station there, for launching rockets. It never got off the ground, but I think they still own it. Everything was space themed, which we hoped meant that we were gonna see something.
Well, it almost seems like me. I feel like retroactively maybe the Gnostic fruitcake energy was counteracting our, because NASA's connected to those guys.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like somebody just like you and I speak about how we make podcasts, and then like what happened the other day? Like you spoke about what was the track? The classical music thing.
Oh, Danse Macabre.
Yeah.
From Saint-Saëns, Camille Saint-Saëns, right?
Yeah, you mentioned that last week, and then James Lindsay posted something, and then the guy Yuri Bezmenov's Ghost on Twitter posted a video about Gnosticism, and the intro track is Danse Macabre.
Why don't we show it?
I'll show it. This is insane, folks. This is absolutely berserk. Here.
It's very interesting. Yeah. It's like literally a few days after after Danse Macabre popped into my head. I was saying it in the context of that's the soundtrack that I hear when I see the Clintons, or when I see Klaus Schwab or anybody associated with the WEF.
Yeah. So here he shows, he starts off. It's Adam. Sees James Lindsay posts a thing about how many times does Karl Marx have to talk about alienation by an alien force that estranges man from his own true nature before you'll believe he constructed a Gnostic cult. So now, here's this Yuri Bezmenov's Ghost guy. He posted the following, like he retweeted and he quoted with this.
So listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah. I'm gonna start
along with the meme.
I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the meme.
Thousands of years later.
So this is not the first time this has happened where we've said something on the show, and then like I don't know, usually it's like a few months later, Tucker Carlson mentions it, or somebody else mentions it, or it comes up in the public conversation, or James Lindsay mentioned it a few times.
Yeah, folks, it's not, if it happens once or twice, you could chalk it up to coincidence, but this is a consistent phenomenon that shortly after we discuss something, somebody prominent, we're talking about within a day or two, certainly within a week, but mostly within a day or two, they start discussing the same things. And now I don't think we're going to go as far as to say that these people like Tucker Carlson watches our podcast or James Lindsay watches our podcast, but it's like we bring down some kind of energy.
Yeah.
And then once we bring it down, it goes to these other people. And I suppose that's good because the information, I think, is valuable, right? I think it's worthwhile. That's why we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
We feel like it's, this is not just, we don't think we're just flapping our guns, right? We think we're helping, right? And then all of a sudden, some high profile person begins to talk about it. Okay, it's happened numerous times. And there's an associated phenomenon where if we talk about somebody, a person who we like, and then they pass away.
Yeah.
So we don't mention anybody that we like anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not always somebody that we like, but we feel as somebody who is deeply involved in something that we think is important. For example, Harry Reid. I don't like Harry Reid.
Yeah.
I don't like him at all. I don't trust him. I thought he was a very bad person for America, but he got involved in this UFO topic, and he seemed at least to be on board with legitimizing the topic and helping people who were whistleblowers to not be bullied by people who are trying to hide the topic. Okay, for instance, Lou Elizondo. He seems like a patriotic guy. I don't get the impression from him that he's a Democrat. He certainly seems like a conservative kind of, traditional patriotic guy. And yet, Harry Reid stood up for him when it came to this topic because this is the guy who worked for ATIP. He worked for the Pentagon. He was a high-level intelligence operative. He had very, very high clearances. He was one of the top people at the Pentagon, and he was given the task to study UFOs. This is how this whole topic got into the news. And when Tucker Carlson started talking about it, and when the New York Times, whatever that means, published, and the article about it back in 2017, this is the guy who headed up the agency that they were referring to all the time, known as ATIP. That's the acronym, ATIP. When Lou Elizondo resigned from that, and then he came forward and started talking about it, his former Pentagon bosses started to try to destroy his credibility, and some of them were claiming that he was lying. And then, even though he had all the documentation, and it's clear that he wasn't lying, and he had people who worked with him, like what's the guy's name, Mellon, who was the Assistant Secretary of Defense, Christopher Mellon, who was the Assistant Secretary of Defense in intelligence. He was a well-known person who spoke up for him. And then Harry Reid said that Elizondo was definitely not lying because Harry Reid was responsible in part for the funding to that program, ATIP, and he knew Elizondo very well. So he didn't let people at the Pentagon lie about Elizondo. Okay, and we spoke about Harry Reid, and then he died a couple of days later. So let's put it this way: the moment he started doing anything resembling redeemable, right, he died. Right?
Yeah.
Because he was a horrifying Democrat who was corroding the country away.
Yeah.
You know, other than that,
Yeah.
he was really bad for the nation. But the moment he does anything right, and we talk about it, he dies.
Yeah.
And this happened, so this is something that we've noticed. And yet, it's interesting, but we cannot figure out any way to personally benefit from it at all. Okay?
Yeah.
So whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to start walking now to the car.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm hoping, let's see, I have 6%. Is that enough to get me to the car? We'll see.
Sir, while you do that, I'm gonna
Let's play.
1 second. I'm just gonna say that I retweeted something by James Lindsay, and he liked my retweet, and I'm gonna say, invite you on to
Oh, he actually acknowledged you? That's interesting.
yeah, our show, where we constantly talk about Gnostic fruitcakes. We can get into the wiring of Gnosticism and what the Jewish, or what Jewish, the Hebrew Bible has to say about it. Okay. There we go. Oh wow. I think he may have retweeted me. Did he just retweet me? Yes, he did. Oh wow.
All right.
James Lindsay, because I said we are all kulaks. He posted a thing, the kulaks, the
Yeah, sure.
individuals from the Russian Empire who became landowners, were liquidated and killed by the Bolsheviks, etc., etc. And I said we are all kulaks, and he just like retweeted me. Cool. So I just wrote to him, Frank and myself invite you to our show, Truth Fanatics, where we can constantly talk about Gnostic fruitcakes. We can get into the wiring of Gnosticism, what the Hebrew Bible has to say about it. Nice. Yeah, let me just do this on
That's very, very, very interesting.
On his page. Whoa, this is like making the rounds now, huh? What's up with that? All right. Let's see if he responds. Dope.
That Ivan Reichland fella. Oh yeah, I told you about that. He actually
we
posted
got
our discussion
on his own Rumble, by the way, and it got 7,000 views. Like the actual video got 7,000 views.
Oh, he put it on his Rumble too.
He put it on his own Rumble, yeah. Let me see. Actually, I'm sorry. No, it got 3. Oh no, the Twitter post got 7,000, but the video got 3.5. Still way better than what we get. Oh, and I told you somebody wrote on the comment section, Greg and Frank are legends. If you ever want to see legendary discussions, I highly recommend Frank's channel, The Nation of Israel.
What are you laughing at? I told you to change it to Truth Fanatics.
I ain't changing it because I got my rogues up here.
Man, so you know what? I
know what I can you know what I could do? I could do what Lowell. No, I could do what Lowell did. I could make a sub channel and put all the stuff.
Yeah, do the sub channel.
Oh, of course, somebody responded. The Bolshevist Jew.
Who said that?
No, some guy responded. The bullshit. Because all these Bolsheviks were, Henrik Yagoda slaughtered 10 million white Russian Christians. Blah blah blah. Yeah, a bunch of these guys had Jewish last names, and therefore.
No, look, these guys are such clowns.
Yeah.
Basically what they're saying is that it was only the Jews who were in the Bolsheviks who did all the killing. We killed a handful of Jews, killed a billion Russian sweet little angel Christians.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they'll never tell you that 95% of the Bolsheviks were Russian.
Yeah.
I have to take my wife's call, please. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey. Oh my God. Hello.
Yeah, hello, hello.
Hang on. I think, okay. She's going to call me again, hopefully. All right. I am now driving.
Yo, this is
Is
making
this
the
the
rounds
parent?
now. This is making the rounds. Wow. This is so cool.
So let's play that video. You know, oh, here she is again. Hold on.
All right, I'll just start. All right, folks, I'll just start the video. Okay.
He was a Pentagon insider, a veteran, an investigator, and today he's quite possibly the most important voice in the modern UFO movement.
I'm doing nothing more than finishing the job I was given.
Lou Elizondo risking his career, his family, and possibly his life to tell the story of what the American government really knows about alien craft
and it's responsive and reactive.
Alien life.
There's zero information to suggest what they are doing is for benevolent reasons.
And the people in the Pentagon trying to hide the truth from you. There are forces, powerful forces, that don't want this story told.
And they'll go to great lengths to keep it a secret.
If aliens exist, where do they come from?
You know, people always say, well, these things are clearly from outer space. And I say, let's hold off on that.
What have they done to people?
Some of these people were very seriously injured.
And what do they want?
Hopefully they're not like us.
Tonight, you'll hear the jaw-dropping revelations.
I'm not saying it doesn't sound crazy. What I'm saying is it's real.
Lou Elizondo, Confessions of a UFO Hunter.
Unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Making more information public when it comes to unidentified anomalous phenomenon.
This object and mysterious ring that appeared over the skies of Oklahoma earlier this month.
Unless you've been asleep for the past 7 years, you've probably noticed our species is living through a UFO renaissance. Headlines, television specials, incident reports, and even congressional hearings into what are now called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena.
We have things flying over military installations and no one knows what it is.
There are many people responsible for this resurgence of interest, but perhaps no one has played a bigger role than a muscle-bound man with tattoos, a soul patch, and one hell of a story to tell. He's Lou Elizondo, former Pentagon UFO investigator, and he's telling that story here on News Nation, and in a new book. Its tantalizing title, Imminent, Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. Your book title is imminent. Something is about to happen. What's about to happen?
Well, if we're lucky, disclosure. The realization that the U.S. government is aware that the topic of UAPs is not only valid, but they're real.
The book lays out in vivid detail allegations that the United States military has been running a UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program for years and has even recovered alien bodies. Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact. And the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
The American public, the entire planet, is being lied to by the American government about what's really going on.
I think if the American public knew just how deep this lie went, that we would have a very significant constitutional crisis on our hands.
Why should you believe any of this? And who is this Elizondo character anyway? Well, it depends on whom you ask.
Very hardworking, very...
Yes, sir.
Sir, I was in the waiting room there for a long time. I'm gonna join again.
Oh,
Can you get
sorry.
me out?
1 second. Yeah, please. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
do it.
All right.
Folks, Frank is coming back in the room. Apologies. Oh, we just keep having interruptions. It's a difficult Frank, Baruch Hashem, at least, you know. Frank is opening up, him and his wife opening up their office. And so he's running around.
Finally, you let me back in. Banging on
Yes. Yes, sorry. I wish there was a noise, like, at least what's it called has a noise, but StreamYard, but
Like a knock, it should be like a knock, like hello.
yeah.
Intelligent and patriotic.
He is just a normal guy who is trying to do something extraordinary.
What defines Lou Elizondo?
Loyalty, transparency, honesty.
Officially, the Pentagon disputes what Elizondo says he's done and seen. But everyone agrees he's an army veteran who has served in hotspots around the world, then oversaw counter-espionage and counter-terrorism investigations for the Department of Defense. In short, he's an American badass. You've been in combat situations, haven't you? You've been in life-threatening situations.
I've been in some very unfortunate situations, yeah. I've got a lot of regrets, and I want to make sure that whatever I've done in my life, serving the people in that building, I don't want to forget, even the bad things.
To make sense of the man and his claims, you need to go back to when it all started. That was 2009, when Elizondo was working as an intelligence operations specialist for the Department of Defense. He'd risen to the coveted GS-15 pay scale, the highest level federal employees can attain.
Remember, I was a senior GS-15 at the time, which is, pretty senior.
What's more, he'd set up a comfortable life in Kent Island, Maryland, with his wife Jen and their 2 daughters.
We had a really nice place to live. This was a great place to raise our kids, and it was just a really laid-back area to grow up, to raise a family and to live here.
But Elizondo says it all changed after he met this man, a renowned missile systems expert named Jim Lakatsky. He was running a program called OSAP.
He was running a program called OSAP, correct.
Which I have to read the acronym. It's the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program. But you learned soon that what OSAP was investigating was not just advanced weaponry.
Yeah, I remember distinctly Jim pulling me into his office. He said, just bluntly, he said, "What do you think about UFOs?" And so I responded truthfully. I said, "I don't." I wasn't interested particularly as a kid into science fiction. I wasn't a big Star Trek fan or Star Wars fan. So I consider myself kind of a gumshoe investigator, old school, just the facts, ma'am kind of guy. And he said, "That's fair," but he said, "Make sure that you don't let your analytic bias get the best of you, and you have to remain open-minded."
He basically told you UFOs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, are real.
Yeah, so Jim told me point blank that they were studying and collecting information on UFOs.
Elizondo claims he was invited to join a program under the OSAP umbrella called ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And soon that invitation became an initiation.
Oh, it was a bit of like Alice in Wonderland going down the rabbit hole. And it kept getting deeper and deeper.
Elizondo says his first real epiphany came during a meeting with a Brazilian Air Force general who'd come to brief them on a series of incidents in a city called Colares. Tell me what was happening.
These people, the townspeople, were being plagued by UAP, UFOs. In some cases, they were being pursued, and reports of these laser beam type, if you will, emissions were coming down and harming people to the point where the Brazilian government actually deployed doctors and the military to investigate. And then when they arrived, they substantiated. They encountered these UFOs, these UAP as well.
But Lou, I know the report of Colares. Officially, according to the Brazilian government, Colares didn't find any evidence at all.
Yeah. Well, that was not the case, and it was very clear that it was a very legitimate investigation, and what they found was that these things were coming in and out of the area and harming people.
As Lou went further down the rabbit hole, he says he learned that many of the classic UFO cases were, in fact, much more than legends, including the famous incident in Roswell, New Mexico. Roswell, 1947. What happened?
There was a UAP that crashed. In fact, there were 2 UAP that crashed, and one flew away while the other one did not, and it was recovered by the U.S. government.
You must appreciate people watching this, hearing you talking about aliens, recovered craft, recovered bodies. It sounds crazy.
Well, as I've said before, I'm not saying it doesn't sound crazy. What I'm saying is it's real.
Coming up, are alien abductions real? So people have been taken away from their homes and had things planted in them. Is there a connection between aliens and psychic powers?
This is real morphology occurring in the human brain.
And what happened when Lou started bringing his work home with him?
I had no idea what the hell I was getting myself into.
Stay with us. Former Pentagon UFO investigator Lou Elizondo writes in his new book, Imminent, that non-human intelligence has been engaging with humans for decades. So what do they want? There are many commentators who say they're friendly. They're no threat at all to humanity. Can we assume that?
Well, I think in order to understand if something is a threat, from a national security perspective, it's a very simple calculus. It's capabilities versus intent. We see some of the capabilities, and by the way, we can't replicate them. We have no idea the intent. So to presume or to assume that these things are friendly or they're hostile, there's not enough data.
Elizondo says the Pentagon's UFO investigators were keenly interested in the impact UAPs were having on individuals, especially military personnel.
There's enough reports that substantiate that not all these interactions are necessarily benign or peaceful. Some people leave terrified. Some people leave injured. There are U.S. service people. There is people that are on full 100% disability right now from the U.S. government because of an interaction with UAP. And it's in writing, by the way, from the U.S. government because of their involvement in an incident.
Indeed, the Veterans Administration has granted full medical disability benefits to this man, Airman John Burroughs. For injuries to his heart and eyes he claims he suffered during the famous 1980 UAP incident in Rendlesham Forest, England. And Elizondo says that's just the tip of the iceberg. Did you, in any of your UAP investigations, come across evidence of alleged abductions of humans by non-human beings?
We came across information that suggested that people were having things put inside their body that they did not give approval to.
So people have been taken away from their homes in the middle of the night and had things planted in them.
Something that was put inside their body, something invasive, right? Something that was not put there by their permission to do something.
You've seen one of those implants, haven't you?
I have been privy to some very interesting things.
This photo, he says, shows one of those interesting things. It's allegedly a biological sample removed from a US service member and submitted for analysis. This is possibly an alien implant.
Well, if you look, there's actually a piece of the chip sticking out and what appears to be these fibers that were moving on their own. And then it looks like this chip or whatever this is, this foreign object, is encapsulated by some sort of biological material.
Could that not be something biological, microbiological, or parasitic?
Well, it certainly, the outside looks like it's some sort of masking device. In essence, you have a foreign object, which it's a metallic object in there, and it seems to be encapsulated by some sort of biological material.
But how do you know it's not just a bit of metal that somebody's knocked into on a building site?
Well, in this particular case, this was moving on its own. It was actually had its own metabolic activity, and it terrified one of the doctors who was looking at this under a microscope. Said they didn't want to see this again.
But are UAPs abducting people at random, or are they drawn to certain individuals? Elizondo says research has revealed an intriguing pattern among UAP experiences in a fascinating part of the brain.
This is a part of the brain known as the quadrate putamen, and it is a very specific part of the brain. It's responsible for all sorts of stuff, and some have even speculated precognition
but certainly intuition.
Intuition for sure.
Elizondo says the Caudate Putamen is larger in people with alleged psychic powers, what the government has called remote viewing. What about people who've had UAP experiences?
Very interesting. The same thing. And by the way, that's not me telling you. These are medical doctors and scientists.
Stanford immunologist Dr. Gary Nolan has been researching this topic, and while his conclusions are not definitive, there are two working theories. One, that people with naturally large Caudate Putamen might attract UAPs like an antenna. Another, that UAP encounters with normal people cause that same part of the brain to get bigger.
And there is a lot of information to substantiate that this is real morphology occurring in the human brain.
Elizondo argues that people with enhanced Caudate Putamen might have a talent both for remote viewing and communication.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
What if this is Shadim giving people nevuah? You can feel free to translate that. Not Shadim, but angels giving people nevuah back.
It may have something to do with that. You might be right with the first thing that you said. For the folks at home, he said, "What if these are shadim? Shadim are the other sentient life that God put here on Earth besides human life, who are intelligent beings. They're non-corporeal, or they're not fully corporeal like we are. Some of them are bad news, are evil, and it's what some Christians would call demons, right? I think most of them have nothing to do with us, but the ones that get involved with humans are demons. That's what people would call demons, okay? And in Hebrew, we call them shadim. And actually, they're a special kind of shadim called mazikim, damaging.
Yeah. So I guess what I meant to say, not shadim, probably malachim.
Well, look, we have this concept, right, that the Sahara gets it first, right? So
yeah.
Basically, if you take something like God sends amazing things into our world, but because of humanity's sinfulness, right? To use that word to sound like that, at the risk of sounding religious, it falls into the hands of evil. Like whatever gifts that God sends into this world, unfortunately, they have to pass through an evil filter first before they finally get down to us, and then we can elevate it and use it for its real purpose,
like
the
creation of the state of Israel, kind of thing.
Yes, but I think the internet is something that everybody can relate to, right? Because the internet, folks, is sent here by God because the Messiah is going to teach people about the creator of the world, the creator of existence, and the whole world is going to tune in to listen to his lessons.
Yeah.
How are you going to get the whole world to listen? Well, the internet, that's what the internet is for. The internet is for a godly purpose. It's to make the world godlier. But in the meantime, porn, nothing but porn. Okay? So that's what we mean by the side of evil gets it first.
Yeah.
Right? They try to ruin it. That God sends a gift into the world, try to ruin it. So this could be the introduction to the supernatural world, the world of heaven, right?
Yeah.
Like when God finally opens a door where heaven and earth begin to mix, the spiritual realm and the corporeal world that we're in start to mix, it can happen in a beautiful way where it's automatically the holiest angels and we get only the good stuff, but it might start out a little dark, and then we have to wrestle it away from the side of evil, and then eventually we can get the good the good stuff. But it's possible that our introduction to this may be a little bit rocky. So it could be demonic things.
Yeah.
Was that a good translation?
Yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
All right. Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we continue? I'm almost home.
Communicating with UAPs. And that's important because it's an established fact that the Pentagon has had an interest in remote viewing for military purposes.
In the vernacular, they used to call it psychic espionage. There was a program in the U.S. government, it's called Stargate. They were taking young soldiers and civilians, and they were training them to conduct espionage behind enemy lines. And the term was called remote viewing. A lot of people that were in the remote viewing program had MRIs done of their brains, and a vast majority have that specific morphology. Do I think it's extraordinary? No, it may be a vestigial capability that humans had for a long time.
But does it work?
Oh, it absolutely works. It absolutely works.
You see, remote viewing has been discredited. The CIA determined that it doesn't work.
Okay, sure.
You're saying it does work?
It absolutely works.
Lou says he knows it works because he was trained in remote viewing himself.
I don't like to really publicly talk about it. My involvement was only tangential.
There's a story you tell of a terrorist suspect, and there was a remote viewing operation done that you were part of.
Yes, we did an experiment. Probably shouldn't have, but we did. And long story short, it appeared to be very effective.
That alleged capability for remote viewing and its potential connection to non-human intelligence may sound like a gift. But Lou says it was also, at least partially, a curse. He says that's because after years of studying UAP encounters, he began experiencing what's known in UAP circles as the hitchhiker effect. UAPs were appearing at his home, perhaps because he was attracting them. What started happening?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? Well, we would have these weird glowing balls of light in the house. They were green, they were small, they were diffuse, kind of like a little neon ball, and it really caused some disruption for my kids and my wife.
What were you seeing?
I would routinely.
Mark, you there?
I am here.
Oh, he disappeared. Okay.
I had to turn off the video so I don't show my address.
Got it. Okay.
See orbs.
What do you mean by orbs?
Small little spherical green, lightish green type of color. And I'd be just walking down the hall and I would just stop and it would just continue to go right through the wall.
So we're talking about the hitchhiker effect. Something had followed Lou home from work.
Or by his very nature, yes.
How did he explain things? Was he able to talk about what was going on?
Not well.
I can imagine you were pretty angry.
I was very upset. The house had been turned upside down.
Yes, it sounds like the stuff of madness, tall tales, delusions. And anyway, where was the proof for any of this? But before Elizondo was through, the world would see it on video.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Stay with us. This is the video that would shock the world and change it.
2004 November, the USS Nimitz carrier strike group were doing what they call workups off the coast of San Diego. And as they are doing this, there are two different radar arrays that are picking up these objects over the course of several days, dropping from 80,000 feet and within about a second or less, all of a sudden being 50 feet over the water and hovering and then popping back up again. So they vector the two F-18 aircraft and they go to look at this thing. And long story short, after visually seeing this tic-tac looking object, roughly about the same length of a F-18 fuselage, performing in ways that we still can't replicate, bouncing around up and down.
So this is an intelligent technology.
This is absolutely, and it's responsive and reactive.
And it's not human.
It's not ours.
Though the Nimitz Tic Tac incident had occurred back in 2004, Elizondo didn't see the video until 2009. And then in 2015, it happened again. Naval aviators attached to the USS Roosevelt recorded these two other videos during exercises off the coast of Florida. That also caught the attention of intelligence consultant and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, Chris Mellon.
The Navy was experiencing a number of incursions into restricted airspace, and I met Lou at the Pentagon, began to hear about these incursions, and the more I learned, the more I realized that we had a potential disaster on our hands.
The videos remained undisclosed to the public for years, and it's easy to see why. These weren't just strange objects in the sky. They conformed to what ATIP would establish as the 5 observables.
So the 5 observables include instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity, low observability, trans-medium travel, and anti-gravity. In essence, the ability to defy Earth's natural gravitational force without the associated technology.
Can you pause it for a minute?
To do it.
Yeah.
Did you change the volume? Because since I came to the house, it's so low.
No, I did not change volume. I did not change it. Not sure.
Can't hear anything.
I mean, I can start playing the. Can you hear me? You're on mute. You are on mute. You want to unmute yourself?
I'm on mute because there's noise in my background.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me start playing it again.
The government has said that for the record. This is not our technology. You know, people always say, well, Lou, you know, these things are clearly from outer space. And I say, well, you know, let's hold off on that. I often tell people, look, they can be from outer space, inner space, or frankly, the space in between. There's a whole reality around us. There's life in the bottom of the ocean that live and thrive, and they survive off chemosynthesis, not the sun. And then we have life that's, you know, deep down in the Arctic ice that's thriving, and even on the ISS space station.
What do you find, though, the most plausible explanation for the intelligence that we're witnessing?
I mean, these things could be just as natural as we are. They could be from the oceans. We don't know.
Elizondo says ATIP also identified another pattern. In several instances, UAPs have allegedly appeared near American nuclear facilities or weapons systems. Both the Nimitz and the Roosevelt are nuclear-powered.
We do know that there is a very significant interest that UAP have towards our nuclear technology.
A daunting thought, to be sure. But Elizondo says ATIP also developed a hypothesis that the UAPs might have an Achilles heel, a vulnerability that the American military can exploit. Electromagnetic pulses of some kind could bring down these craft.
Yeah, the general consensus was that these vehicles, their propulsion units, are susceptible to electromagnetic pulse, meaning they are using a technology that the electromagnetism, if they were to encounter a certain frequency of electromagnetism, would interfere with their ability to fly and maneuver.
Building on that hypothesis, Elizondo says his team devised an audacious secret plan to disable and capture one of those Tic Tacs.
We had proposed a honey trap to try to collect data and information on these UAP.
So this was an operation known as Interloper.
That is correct. So you have a nuclear-powered carrier with other nuclear-powered vessels, potentially nuclear-powered submarines, which also may have potentially nuclear weapons. So the idea is to create a nuclear footprint that is so irresistible to these things. We would create a trap, and then that trap would be sprung.
But Operation Interloper never made it past the planning phase. Interloper was stymied, wasn't it? It was scrapped.
It was scrapped.
It was a pretty good idea.
And it was approved by a lot of people, a lot of agencies.
And yet, when it finally got to the top, it was stopped. It was blocked. It's almost like somebody perhaps already knew the answer.
Or didn't want us having the answer.
Elizondo says the shelving of Operation Interloper was just one of several puzzling and frustrating setbacks to ATIP's mission. And eventually he came to believe it was more than just bureaucratic inefficiency. Someone was trying to block his team from making progress.
I took an oath to the American people to defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and it turns out that the enemy was elements in our own government. It was the bureaucracy.
That realization would lead to the biggest and riskiest decision of Elizondo's life.
Accomplish my mission, I knew I had to leave.
Stay with us. If it's true that the Pentagon's so-called legacy program has been secretly retrieving and studying non-human craft and even bodies, well, where are they? Area 51, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, or somewhere else? No one has come forward with those specifics. Not even famed military intelligence officer turned UFO whistleblower David Grush, who went public on News Nation last year.
Those details were not approved for me to talk about.
But now, Lou Elizondo is going there. There comes a point in your book where you name names. You name Lockheed Martin, TRW, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon, BAE Systems, and the Aerospace Corporation as being some of the private corporations that are involved in working on retrieved alien technology. True?
It is true that it is in my book, yep.
You also reveal how some non-human, alien biosamples are now being kept at Fort Detrick in Maryland, or with the FDA, and that they've been moved around so many times their origins have likely been forgotten. Elizondo claims that some of the answers, and perhaps the biological samples, can be found here at the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the FDA and the NIH.
Certainly we know that a lot of these samples were farmed out to experts like the National Institute of Health, NIH, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which absolutely fall under the authorities of this building. Logically, it makes sense that there are people in that building right now that may know the location of where these biological samples are.
The defence companies Elizondo names, the Pentagon and the Department of Health and Human Services, all categorically deny Elizondo's claims. He says those denials are only possible because he could never get the evidence to prove their involvement once and for all. Your investigations wanted to investigate those samples and you were denied access.
We were, yeah.
You became increasingly aware, didn't you, that there were people in the Pentagon, in the intelligence community, in private aerospace, who didn't want you investigating UAPs.
Absolutely. We began to run into some fierce resistance. And the more we continued to investigate, the increased level of that resistance became. There were elements, the only way I can describe them as religious fundamentalists.
It's a group that is euphemistically dubbed as the Collins elite, isn't it?
It is.
The Collins elite has long been rumoured to be a cabal of religious fanatics within the Pentagon. Many consider them a myth. Elizondo thinks otherwise.
That group is alive and well. It exists. I encountered elements of that group firsthand.
And they're gatekeepers inside the Pentagon who don't want the UAP story investigated.
That is correct, Ross. There are religious fundamentalists inside the Pentagon and inside the U.S. government, and specifically the intelligence community, that have a very, how shall I say, strict interpretation of their philosophical belief system.
Elizondo recounts one specific encounter with a high-ranking member of this so-called Collins elite.
He stopped me in the halls at the Pentagon. He said, "Have you read your Bible lately?" And I was kind of surprised by the question. Like, I mean, I know what the Bible says. What, may I ask specifically, what do you mean? He says, and you know what we're dealing with are demons. These are demonic beings, and we shouldn't be looking at them.
But aside from potential religious motivations for the secrecy, Elizondo suggests there could also be geopolitical considerations at play. Do the Russians and the Chinese have recovered craft?
I can't speak on behalf of what the Russians or Chinese or any adversaries may have or may not have.
Well, could that be driving our concern that we don't want to show our hand?
There's always a concern when a foreign adversary is looking at something. There is this cat and mouse. We don't want the adversaries to know what we have, and we also don't want the adversaries to know what we don't know, right? So there's always a reason not to broadcast what you know and don't know to your enemy.
Whatever the motivations for the alleged cover-up, Elizondo says it went way beyond mere bureaucratic foot-dragging. People were threatened, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Some of our folks were told, if you're not careful, we're going to do exactly to you what we did with the Rosenbergs. You're done.
So people are being threatened with death if they talk about this?
Sure, because, and by the way, people say, oh, the government would never do that. Try getting on Area 51. There's signs on the fence that say lethal force is authorized. You absolutely can use lethal force to protect national security investments and equities. That, we do it.
Elizondo describes the mounting obstructions, the denied requests, the scrapped plans, the threats, and above all, the steadfast refusal to disclose any of this, either to the public, the Congress, or even the President. By early 2017, it had all become too much. So there came a time during your work with ATIP where you just decided, I'm getting nowhere, I'm getting blocked, I'm getting stymied. What did you decide to do?
I went public. I resigned.
How hard was it for you to write this letter?
Yeah, this letter is my resignation memo to the Secretary of Defense. Probably the hardest memo I ever had to write.
In the letter addressed to Defence Secretary James Mattis, Elizondo said he was quitting because, despite overwhelming evidence, certain individuals in the department remain staunchly opposed to further research on the controversial topic of anomalous aerospace threats. Because you wrote that memo and circumvented your immediate bosses, what did they do?
Well, they made my life hell.
Hard times were ahead, but Elizondo was about to make some hell of his own, as he and those explosive videos were about to go public.
I'm doing this because I believe it's the right thing to do.
Stay with us. On December the 16th, 2017, the world woke up to a bombshell. Lou Elizondo, working with Chris Mellon, had gone public with the now famous Nimitz Tic Tac video.
I contacted 3 different news organizations, and eventually the New York Times editors were persuaded they had enough to do a front-page story.
The New York Times published an explosive article revealing the Pentagon's secretive UFO program.
Reports the U.S. government is still collecting information about encounters between unknown aircraft and our military.
Elizondo spent 10 years as head of a secret study of unidentified aerial objects.
When the story broke, this covert operator who'd worked in the world of intelligence suddenly became an international public figure. What was it like?
It was terrifying. I had spent my entire life living in the shadows. As an intelligence officer, anonymity is your friend. Coming out was for me one of the most difficult experiences.
Suddenly, Lou Elizondo's face became synonymous with the UFO question. And now, with his days at the Pentagon behind him, Lou devoted himself to the cause. He took a job with To the Stars Academy, a UFO research and advocacy group founded by rock star Tom DeLonge. Together, they appeared on History Channel's Unidentified, Inside America's UFO investigation, which garnered him even more fame. Someone even started selling t-shirts with his face, but that attention came at a price. There were a lot of positives, but things also were about to get bad, weren't they?
I did not think that our lives would be this turned inside out for this many years. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
You suffered retribution, and in fact the Office of Special Investigations in the Air Force began a criminal investigation against you, didn't they?
They did.
What happened with that?
The initial allegation was that I was responsible for unauthorized disclosure, and then I stole classified videos out of the Pentagon and a whole bunch of stuff. And long story short, the Air Force OSI came back and said, nope, actually we seized the computers, there's no wrongdoing, didn't take anything home, and he never had a conversation about anything classified. Everything's unclassified.
Publicly, the Pentagon has also denied Lou's claim that he was the head of ATIP, both in prior public statements and directly to News Nation for this report, effectively calling him a liar and a fraud.
Take ISIS, I'll take Al-Qaeda, you know, whatever. Those don't scare me. Those don't bother me. What bothers me is when people question my loyalty, my intentions of what I'm trying to do. That cuts deep.
What do you think yourself of the fact that the Pentagon, as you describe it, has been actively trying to discredit Lou?
I think it's shameful. This is how you're repaid. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense.
We need to have an intelligence community that is willing to speak truth to power. Here comes a guy who does that and clearly is correct. Does he get an award for identifying a huge, major vulnerability in America's air defense like he should? No, he gets harassed by these bureaucrats because he's doing stuff that is inconvenient.
On top of the reputational attacks, Lou and his family were uprooted from their home as Lou's new job at To the Stars Academy called him to California. Then the job fell through. You'd essentially gone from fairly steady jobs, well paid in Maryland, and you'd basically taken a complete financial bath.
I had to get a job at Target, and then after that I got a job at Home Depot.
The family went from their house in Maryland to this mobile home. Does it frustrate you sometimes that people perhaps don't understand the sacrifice that you and Lou and your family have had to endure?
Yeah, especially because everyone thinks we have all this money. Oh, they're just grifting. Come live for a day in my life. I guarantee you will run back to yours.
Why is this worth it, Lou? I mean, you were a GS-15 in the senior executive service of the Defense Department.
You know, I can't get past that without saying,
yeah.
I know a little bit about how she feels.
Yeah.
Because people think that I have anything to do with Z-Stack or with the wellness company.
Yeah.
And I in terms of anything to do, meaning benefit financially.
Yeah.
You know, or it's my company. People think it's my company, not the case at all. So
yeah.
Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah.
You ended up having to dig your own pit toilet. You couldn't continue to pay your rent. Why is it worth it?
I have 2 daughters and I have a wife, and we have been through hell. But there's a lot of people who had a lot worse than me. I feel terrible because the stress I have put my family through and what they've had to endure.
Some relief finally came in April 2021 when Senator Harry Reid wrote a letter confirming Lou's role in ATIP.
It's in black and white.
Personal vindication aside, Elizondo says he's most proud of the momentous shift that's taken place in the national conversation on the UAP question, both among the general public and on Capitol Hill. In 2022, lawmakers passed legislation that called on the DoD to create a UAP office which would report to Congress. That office is now known as the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARROW. You have come a long way since 2017. What's been achieved?
I'm most proud of the fact it's being openly discussed in the halls of the Pentagon. That means that the stigma and the taboo is finally evaporating, and we can begin to see the topic more clearly.
Unidentified objects in any domain pose potential risks to safety and security, particularly from military personnel and capabilities.
With the testimony of the first ARROW director, Sean Kirkpatrick, in 2023, it seemed like the UAP renaissance had officially commenced. But would it really be an age of enlightenment?
what he was saying is not consistent with the truth. And when someone like that blatantly tells you something that is not true, you've got a serious credibility problem.
Stay with us.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
On the 26th of July 2023, Navy pilot Ryan Graves, Navy Commander David Fravor, and former Air Force Intelligence Officer David Grush testified at a congressional hearing heard around the world.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program.
How did it feel for you, that moment?
It was a very profound and proud moment for me. So you had 3 military personnel testifying on the reality of UAP. Now that's historic.
Whistleblower David Grush came on News Nation and made an earth-shattering claim.
It felt, for a moment, like the dam was breaking, that full disclosure was about to happen.
The American people deserve to know the truth on this.
But it didn't work out like that. First, Arrow denied David Grush's claims. Then, like Lou, Grush became the subject of a vicious discrediting campaign, including his own medical history.
And they try to discredit him, just like they try to do me, just like they try to do anybody else who comes out and steps out of rank.
What's more, Arrow has publicly declared that it has found no evidence to support any claims of a government UAP retrieval program. As for the UAP captured on those famous videos, yes, they remain unidentified. But while the Pentagon says Arrow will follow the data wherever it leads, it says it has not found any credible evidence of extraterrestrial activity. So do you think that people like Sean Kirkpatrick are operating according to a dictated agenda, that they're being told to try and suppress interest in the UAP?
What I can tell you is that what he was saying is not consistent with the truth. And when someone like that blatantly tells you something that is not true, you've got a serious credibility problem.
Dr. Kirkpatrick told News Nation, "At no time did I provide false information to Congress. In fact, my team provided actual evidence, something that all of the other claimants have failed to do." Why haven't you appeared before Congress yet? There must have been numerous opportunities.
Well, sure, but there's only been one public hearing so far. There's going to be more, and it's not up to me, but I can tell you I've been asked, and my response was absolutely, I will testify.
Lou's a patriot, isn't he?
Yes.
What's driving him?
He feels that humanity is owed this information. People should know if we are not alone, no government has the right to keep that hidden.
A growing public movement seems to agree, as interest in the UAP question continues to intensify, both online and at UAP conferences around the country. Plus, there's been a veritable avalanche of former military officers coming forward with similar claims, including Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet and Colonel Cal Nell.
Non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new.
And military-grade UAP videos are now popping up regularly, like this one over Puerto Rico, this one along the Arizona border, and this one over an undisclosed conflict zone in the Middle East.
This is more than intriguing, more than provocative. It's potentially revolutionary and transformational.
What can people do? What should any citizen do? How can they help you?
Get involved. Talk to your members of Congress. Ask questions, whether it's around the dinner table or the water cooler. That's what I would encourage people to do. Start asking the hard questions.
So Lou Elizondo, crystal ball. Let's go 1-2 years in the future. Are we going to be as much in the dark then as we are now?
No, but you know, disclosure isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. It's not going to happen overnight. Disclosure isn't an event, it's a process. I think this next generation, if our kids are any indicator of hope, that's where real disclosure is going to occur.
But is it a process?
He was talking about, yeah. He was talking about disclosure, like we talk about Mashiach,
Yeah.
right? In other strange or like overlap. Again, if this is all real.
Yeah. I can't see you, Frank, by the way. Was that on purpose that you?
Oh, no, that was not on purpose. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. So listen, this has been a strange episode, a little bit strange for various reasons. We've had technical difficulties and whatnot, and this is the long procrastinated UFO update that we haven't done in the last 30,
Finally.
40.
Yeah.
So it's one big UFO update now. I found it interesting that he said, the last question, he goes, crystal ball, what are we gonna, are we still gonna be in the dark in 1 or 2 years as we are now? And the other guy's like, no.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Folks, obviously, when we're watching this, to me, at least, I feel, I'm not going to speak for Greg. This is obviously scripted and sanctioned by the government. And I think what happened, what he claims happened to him, it may or may not be true, but I think it's part of the theater.
Yeah.
They needed to create a narrative of how this information got out. It can't just be like the government says, here it is. It has to be through this process so that the government can kind of come out of a evil cocoon. Let me put it another way. They're saying that there's different factions in the government, and that they're good guys who are trying to, make up for what the bad guys have been doing. It's the same entity, folks.
Yeah.
But they're trying to save face, and they're trying to redeem themselves, and they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to deal with the consequences of, we've had this information which which may or may not have benefited mankind for a long time now, and we didn't let anybody know about it, and we don't want to get in trouble for it. So we're going to pretend like we got different factions. The Collins conspiracy, you heard that? That's a first, right?
Yeah.
Folks, this may all be true. It may be partially true. It may be a mix of everything in between. But there's no possible way that any information of this nature would be able to come out to us if it wasn't somehow planned or sanctioned. Like it was a controlled leak.
Had to be allowed, yeah.
Yeah, because these people would all be just shot. They would just all be. We'd never hear about them. Maybe one local Fox News somewhere like in Tampa, right? And then disappeared and forgotten or something like that.
Yep.
Okay. There's no way that these people would have gotten this far for this many years if this wasn't some kind of planned thing. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean what they're saying isn't true. It just could be a process of how the general public gets to accustom itself to this reality. This could be their way of doing it. We'll see. Ultimately, as Greg, my colleague Greg says, habeas corpus. At some point, you got to stop talking about it, and you got to bring her home to meet the folks.
Exactly.
Right? You got to show, the aliens or the demons or the angels or whatever it is. Exactly, Rafi. They have to show up, and it has to become part of reality, or else this has just been, a very annoying government soap opera.
Right.
Which is horrifying to think. I don't want to be that negative.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting that RFK has been recently talking about this. He's been asked, is he going to reveal? Because whenever you're talking about JFK assassination, now it's connected to the Trump assassination attempt. And then are they going to release the info? They said yes. What about what about the UFO stuff? Yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna break it open, whatever, whatever's there. He said that.
Oops, sorry.
I don't know if he's officially part of Trump's administration now, but it looks like it's leading that way, right? So
Might be.
it looks like things are setting up for something of that nature.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. I hope something comes of it. I want to say this last thing about it. So they admitted that he saw, he had like similar experiences that dude from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right. With the orbs in his house and stuff like that.
Yeah, Chris Bledsoe.
Chris, the hitchhiker effect, they call it, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like, the revolution is televised.
Yeah.
You know that expression? The revolution will
course.
not be televised. It looks like it is being televised.
Yeah.
It looks like it's being presented as entertainment, as theater, yet it's paralleling reality, like that show Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Apparently, everything they're showing is actually happening. Like that's real phenomena. The way they present it, some people say it's like scripted, but the phenomena apparently is real, and that's where I heard this idea of the hitchhiker effect. Whatever. Anyway, very interesting. I hope it's real. I hope that this is all part of Mashiach.
Yeah.
It obviously is in some way. Just I hope it's in the way we hope it is, the way we think it is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say something a little bit not directly related, right? I want to talk about for a minute Stu Peters.
Yeah. That's gracious.
You know what? Before I get there, there's something that's just on I got to get off my chest. I saw a commercial today for the wellness company on RSBN. That network that shows all the Trump rallies and the speeches.
Yeah.
Right side broadcast, right? And I saw the wellness company advertise there. I thought that was amazing. And then they're like, "Oh, Dr. McCullough, right?" So that's the big gripe I have with the wellness company. First, before I state the gripe, I want to say what I like about them. As far as I know, they are still the only available service that I am aware of that is prepared to provide my brother, Dr. Zelenko's protocol to the public when they need it, and also provide consultations, medical consultations. I don't know anybody else who's doing that. I don't see anybody set up to actually provide this for people. My gripe is they're going to call it the McCullough protocol.
Yeah, probably.
And so I'm going to flip my lid, and I think that's already getting ready to happen. He's already, I'm not in support of that at all. But ultimately, at least people will be able to get the Zelenko protocol, even though they want to rename it, right? At least that's the most important thing that they will provide that. So I have to say that. So that is a fact, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So what my gripe is the way they're presenting this. I really think they made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And it's really bugging me. But anyway, I have no say in what goes down there or the decisions that they make. And if they didn't at least provide my brother's basic protocol, the Zelenko protocol, I probably would be dropping mushroom clouds on them. Okay? So I'll just leave it at that. Also, Stu Peters is advertising for them. He's still I don't understand that association because on the one hand, I've been getting messages from people claiming that, oh, he's a big friend of my brother and he loved my brother and my brother loved him and my brother gave him a private jet. He said that recently.
Yeah. And then now he's posting, Muslim parents fighting back against pedo LGBT agenda, and he's showing
the Jew, right? He's
gay Jews with gay Israeli flags and gay this.
Right. Right. So, folks, Stu Peters is a lying scum.
I think he's a Fed. I think he's just a Fed.
whatever he is, I don't know, but he's lying about my brother. That's the thing that bugs me the most. My brother, Stu Peters is trying to get people to think that my brother had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Folks, nobody was further away from Jesus than my brother.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. My brother was a 100% Orthodox Hasidic Jew. Okay?
Yeah.
All of the goodness in his heart and everything that informed his decisions, his moral decisions, okay, were 100% influenced by his Judaism, his Talmudical Judaism. My brother was a Talmudical Zionist Jew.
Yeah.
I will never, ever allow these scumsicles like Stu Peters or anybody who has a problem with the truth to ever, I'll never allow them to smear my brother. Do you understand that? Folks, I'm not attacking Christianity. I am just preserving the truth. Okay? I will not allow my brother to be lied about because it's convenient and it might warm the heart of Christians.
Yeah.
It's not true. I hope somebody makes this I hope somebody makes this a clip and just gets it to circulate because the truth needs to be known for its own sake. It's important, and it's important to my brother. Okay? It was a Torah Talmudical Zionist Jew who he didn't like certain specific individuals in the Israeli government. Okay? That doesn't mean he was not a Zionist. Okay? He was a Talmudical Zionist, Orthodox Hasidic Jew with no Christianity whatsoever. No Jesus at all. At all. Get it through your heads. I'm his only brother. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? I will not allow him to be lied about. Okay? And I'm getting more and more frustrated with people because, you know, some people are saying, shut up, just whatever, you know, what does it bother you that people, they let them think? No, because it was the Torah. It was his Judaism. It was the Lubavitcher Rebbe who informed him, who taught him how to be a God-fearing and who taught my brother, Dr. Zelenko, how to be a God-fearing man and who to devote his life to saving human life, both Jew and non-Jew. It's the Talmudical Torah tradition that taught him to be who he is. If any of you felt something, many people call me and tell me that, oh, they love my brother so much and they felt his words ring true. Folks, you have to understand the truth of where that comes from. Okay, I'll never allow that. I don't care if 5 companies shut down as a result of this. I don't care. I know for a fact that God wants me to tell the truth about my brother. I know for a fact that my brother wants me to tell the truth about my brother. I will never allow this, okay? So I wish that this clip, that this information will start making the rounds because Stu Slimeball Peters has 100 billion kajillion followers. I don't. And I posted something on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious because I don't have access to Twitter. Like I have a computer that I can access every now and then, but usually I don't. So I posted something yesterday. Could you be a dear and check for me?
What specifically?
So it's in my replies. I wrote something about Stu Peters. I wrote on his page. I addressed him directly. I'm just curious to see if that had any effect.
Something about you responded to Ann Vandersteel. You, yeah, he said it's not the Frankists, it's not the Zionists, it's not the Jesuits. Sam Parker Senate and Nick Fuentes are right. This is all distraction. It's the Jews. And then you said Dr. Lincoln would kick you to the curb. Don't ever dare use my brother's name again, scumbag.
Can you read that slow?
Dr. Zelenko would have kicked you to the curb. Don't ever dare use my brother's name again, scumbag.
That's what I wrote, addressing Stu Peters directly.
And then Ninja Alex said, it's the actual Jesuit order, you retards.
Yeah. So there's like no reaction to that, right? Basically, aside from our friend Ninja.
And then like 2 likes. I think these people are feds. I think Candace Owens, Fuentes, I think all these people are feds.
There's no question they're feds. It's not, no, but again, you know, as we just heard in that, you know, documentary, right? There's the Collins group, right? This is a religious order that is in the, probably Jesuits that are in the they're in the, you know, that's shout out to Ninja Alex. That they're in the government, right? And they have a certain interpretation of their religion, of Christianity, right? And they're deeply embedded in the government. And so you know, it wouldn't shock me that such a thing is going on with these, you know, with Stu Peters and the Candace Owens. I'm pissed that I know Candace Owens' name. I'm just pissed. That's a side note. And Nick Fuentes, like it bothers me that I even know them. Okay. Anyway, so I needed to get that off my chest. I really need a way to get this information, because I don't know what I'm gonna do, but if I'm forced to, I'm gonna do something. I don't know how, I don't know what, but I have to make sure that it's understood who my brother was and what formed him and what actually inspired him to be the kind of person that he is. Okay? Because I believe he's alive, like every soul is alive. Okay? More alive now than he was. And I have to figure out how to make sure that people know the truth about
Is he
my
still like promoting Z-Stack and all that stuff? Is he still doing this?
It's driving me insane. Like, you know,
has anyone associated with that giving any answers regarding this? Well, they don't want to. They don't even want to touch it.
I don't speak to anyone who has any influence over that.
Not influence,
or anybody who has influence over that.
Opinion,
they won't speak to me.
Even an opinion, or somebody who is just like kind of, you know, is there and kind of.
I think because he, you know, he's one of the main affiliates. Like they kind of remain silent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best case scenario. Like that has to be, you know what I mean? Like, so, but I'm not going to allow that. There's just certain things that are aligned too far, you know, that really cross the line. I'm never, as long as I have a voice, I'm going to figure out how to make sure it's understood that it was the Torah and the Lubavitcher Rebbe and the Talmud that influenced my brother to become the kind of person that he was. Okay? I think that's what they're trying to hide. I think that's what they fear the most, that some truth will come out about the Torah and about the Talmud and about Orthodox Jews. That they literally can't, you know, they can't, they have to hide that. And you know, I kind of felt that before, but now I'm actually seeing it. You know, blatantly.
Yeah.
Somebody commented yesterday on Twitter, oh, they wrote something like, yeah, he was still outwardly Orthodox, referring to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I had to stop myself from writing, bitch, he was, you know, so I just wrote, not only was he outwardly, he was more inwardly Orthodox than outwardly. And I'd like to see them challenge that.
Yeah.
And now I have to go because I have to take the baby to bed. And I didn't even get a chance to make fun of Australians for the way they say no.
No.
No. There's something going on Twitter with an American teacher trying to teach an Australian girl.
Yeah, she's just like no.
Okay, can you play it for the folks at home?
I can't find the damn thing.
All right, I'll find it.
Oh, saying no. Wait, hold on.
No.
I think I've.
It was adorable. She's actually very, very cute. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off, folks. God bless everyone.
All right, folks. Yes.
Weird episode. Thanks for sticking with us.
It was weird, but it was good.
Yes.
Weird is good.
Yes. All right. My child is about to run away. Bye.
All right. Peace.